Hey, what's up everyone? Carl Wolf here, back with some more Steins Gate linear bounded phenogram, where we will be playing as Kurisu today. I am looking forward to it, even though that means I have to narrate as her, with the voice that I chose for her. It's easy to, well, it's doable to do her voice whenever her lines come up, but to narrate as her for the entire time, or at least the majority of the time, that should be interesting. Let me just pull up the YouTube stream so we can make sure that we are good. Okay, we are good. Let's do this. Start. And we have to choose Kurisu. Chris. Vermilion Soteria. A dark space. Where am I? What is this place? Why am I here? Wait, am I even... My head throbs slightly. I look to my left and to my right, but I can't see a thing. Just a dark space. Pitch black. There's no sound but the ticking of a clock. Am I in a sensory deprivation tank? No, I don't remember entering one, and if I had, I wouldn't be able to hear anything. And I can still hear the eerie sound of a clock. Tick, tock. I try to calm myself down and search my memories for answers. But my head is still unclear. Everything is foggy. To start with, who am I? I ask myself. But I can't remember anything. The sound of the clock is so strangely unsettling. I want to ignore it, but the harder I try, the worse it gets. It's scrambling my thoughts. Just why? This isn't one of Okabe's stupid pranks, is it? No. He wouldn't do anything this crazy. I don't know, he might. Huh? Okabe. Oh, I got yawned. Sorry. Who is that? Even in this state, you still remember that name, do you? Isn't that the voice that Okabe would hear from the first game? I mean, that's how much she means to him. How much of an impact she had on him. Me? A female figure appeared before my eyes. Even with my uncertain memories, I was convinced the figure standing before me was me. So, you understand at least this much, don't you? Makise Kurisu. Makise Kurisu. At that moment, a torrent of images rushed into my brain. 11 years ago, on my birthday, when I upset my dad and shattered our relationship. My mama taking me with her as she moved to America. Working brutally hard to graduate college early, and working as a researcher at Victor Krondoria University's Neuroscience Institute. Okay, trying to say big words like that while doing a voice is... especially her voice. At least it's not the gruff voice. Hold on. I'm gonna be yawning a lot. This year, when Papa... real name... Soichi Makise, publicly known as Dr. Nakabachi, sent me a letter saying he will hold a press conference to commemorate the completion of his time machine, temporarily returning to Japan as a sort of reverse exchange student at a Japanese high school, and then. and then.
それから
and then. Huh?
どうしたのかしら
What's the matter? You don't
その後
remember?
どうなったかが
What happened next?
私日本に
I.
来て
I came to Japan
パパに殺され
and was murdered by my papa.
違う
No,
来年
that's
の
not
公園
it.
で変
I
な
met
悪意の
that
人
weird
に会って
person in the lab coat at the lecture and.
違う
No,
その悪意の人とは
I met that
パパ
person
に
in the
殺
white
され
robe
る前に
before
も
Papa
会っ
murdered
て
me.
て
My memories became convoluted. Multiple, intersecting memories tangle up inside my head.
ATF の公園で
Yeah, the
私
different
にちょっかいを
timelines.
かけてきた岡部と
I ended up being
マド
friends
ロ
with
が会って
Okabe, even though he initially
この
annoyed me
公
at
園
that ATF lecture. That's right. I remember. Okabe Rintaro. It all started when he began claiming that I was a ghost, and that I should be dead already. And then, at the lecture, he disputed the theory that time machines cannot be made with the technology available to us in this timeline. Which caught my interest, so I went to visit his lab. And they really were making a time machine.
そうだった
That's right.
人間が直接
Humans couldn't travel to the
過去に
past in
来るわけ
flesh,
じゃなかったけど
but they were able to send mails to the
過去
past.
にメールを送ることができた D メール
D-mail. That's right. Then we repeated the D-mail experiment to verify whether we could send a message to the past to change it. Then, over the course of our experiments, Okabe and I.
だいぶ思い出せたよね
You seem to have remembered quite a bit.
なら今は
So,
何をやってい
can
る
you
か
remember what you were doing
思い出せる
just now?
今
Now? What was I doing just now? Actually, that leads me back to my original questions. Just what is this place? And why am I here? Thinking rationally, the most reasonable explanation is that this is a dream, and I'm currently asleep. As far as I can remember, I was staying up all night upgrading the phone wave. I was trying to make a more advanced time machine that could not only demail to the past, but people's memories as well. But now that I think of it, I don't remember falling asleep. If this is a daydream, it's unusual for it to have taken over my senses to this extent.
その認識は正解とも言えるし
You're on the right
正
track,
解ではない
but
か
you're
も
also incorrect.
正解ではない
How could it be both?
間違っている
Wouldn't
と
that
も
mean
言
I'm
え
just
る
wrong?
ではないの
I mean,
あなたらしいわね
how very like you.
言葉の正確
Always
な定義
demanding
に
such
こだわ
black and
ろう
white
とする
answers.
交わす言葉が正確に定義されない
If there's no right or wrong in terms of the words we use to communicate, the meanings we assign to them lose their value. Isn't that only natural?
ええそれでいいのよ
Yes, you're right.
あなたはあなた
You
らし
should
く
be
ある
just as you
わよ
are. Even in the coming story you
これ
will
か
soon
らあなたが
experience.
体験する物語
Story? What is she saying? Most dreams tend to be an incoherent mishmash of ideas, which makes the relatively logical through line of this conversation all the more strange. Even if my brain is producing this dialogue by association, with external stimuli, there are still many odd factors.
そこまで深く気にする必要はないわよ
There's no need to be so deeply
ただ
concerned.
あるが
You
ま
should
ま
just
に通
accept
用
things
す
as
れ
they
ばい
are,
い
and simply
そして
be
あ
as you
なたは
are.
あなたのその物語は
The story may be like a mirage, your memories vanishing the moment you leave this place. Or it may be some sort of illusion. Perhaps it's a vision of something that never existed, an unexplored possibility. Regardless, now that you're here, you have both the right and responsibility to see it through to its end. What do you mean? August 13th. On August 13th, 2010, at 2:06 p.m., this is where our story starts. And it concludes at 5:34 p.m. the same day. Huh? My consciousness jolts in reaction to the date, the time. A time not in my memory. But for some reason, deep inside my heart, I felt shaken. My consciousness fades. The sound of the clock won't leave my ears. The wheels of time, they draw an infinite spiral that eventually loops back to whence it came. I should know full well where their trail leads. That's why you must confirm things for yourself. And save it all. Save yourself. Save him. Wait a minute. You can't just force me to... My consciousness rapidly clouds. The sound of the clock gets louder, as if to consume my thoughts. Oh, tick-tock. My awareness flakes away as the bell rings. It's like I'm falling asleep. Or rather, waking from a dream. And then Hey, the crew's here. Yeah, narrating as Kurisu is going to be rough. Daru was easy since Daru was basically just my voice. And Okabe, I just had to... I think I tried to do a deeper voice for him originally. I didn't do it as deep, but just slightly deeper. Kurisu should be interesting. Done. Connecting the last two cables, I declared my success to the lab mems, and especially Okabe. I have successfully upgraded the phone wave, creating what may be the world's first time machine, capable of sending not only information through time, but humans themselves. I improved the D-mail functionality, the technology that lets us send information to the past via email, to allow us to compress the human consciousness to 36 bytes and send it to the past. Of course, the sender and the receiver must be the same person, and we can only send their consciousness, or, to be more specific, their memories. Nonetheless, this machine represents humanity's first steps into the realm of time travel. I believe we may have just created something extraordinary. That's right. We've created a power that can transcend the law of causality and change the world. Everyone here understood the weight of what we'd done. I mean, just about everyone here. I think Mayuri doesn't fully comprehend, but I guess she grasps enough. And so, though we were in the presence of this tremendous invention, none of us expressed even a hint of excitement. I've done something terrible. My chest is filled with dread. I followed my personal impulses to test my theory and bring my idea into being. Propelled by my lab mem's shared passion, I pressed onward with my creation. But now that it's completed, I'm completely overwhelmed. Initially, I had a feeling that I shouldn't create a time machine. The very existence of a time machine defies common sense. It holds the power to rewrite history, to change the past, present, and future. Our world is governed by the rule of cause and effect, but a time machine completely breaks this rule. In the event of a failure, one can travel back in time to remove the cause of said failure, thus ensuring that it never happens. But that would make a butterfly effect. A disruption would be the same. Travel to the past, divert or eliminate the interruption, and you can complete what you're working on undistracted. This is akin to holding the power of a god in your hands. Militarily and politically, at least. Scientifically, its value is immeasurable. Which is precisely why this technology must not be allowed to exist. The power of a time machine would be too much for humanity to handle in a more civilized future, let alone now. The rockets and nuclear weapons of the 20th century were the same way. The small number of people who controlled these technologies created an imbalance of power on the world stage. Even in the 21st century, the scars of that imbalance still remain. Scars that restrict scientists such as myself to this day. But you couldn't help yourself. The challenge, the thrill. But now, I've created this. I've created a time machine. For no reason other than I wanted to see if I could. I understand how dangerous it could be, and even feared it. I rejected the very idea that it could exist. But even then, I was driven by my curiosity about the unknown, and my desire as a researcher to push the bounds of possibility. The same motivators that led me here, to the Future Gadget Laboratory in the first place. When I saw the experience Okabe and the others were conducting, when I saw them send mail to the past with the phone wave, curiosity consumed me. And the result was this upgraded phone wave. Hashida. Mayuri. Okabe? And even the leader of the Future Gadget Laboratory, the self-proclaimed notorious mad scientist, Hyoen Kiyoma, Okabe. None of them could bring themselves to speak. I looked from face to face, seeing uncertainty in each one. But eventually, unsurprisingly, the first one to speak was Okabe.
First order of business, we'll be coming up with an official name.
All things considered, the way he directs everyone else around him is very leader-like.
Yeah, he actually is very leader-like. He knows how to take charge. And I mean, if you're gonna pretend to be a mad scientist, you kind of need to be able to. I mean, I guess there are mad scientist sidekicks, like minions, but still.
That said, given that his first reaction is for us to come up with the name, it tells me that he's not taking this seriously enough.
He's taking it seriously in his own way.
Eventually, we decided that the upgraded phone wave would be given the name of Time Leap Machine, though that was also subject to change. Okabe came up with a far more Chunibiyu name during the process, but ultimately Mayuri chose the simple name that I proposed. Then, at Okabe's urging, I proceeded to explain how the Time Leap Machine functions. I'm looking at the diagram.
Actually, you know what? What was it? Q? No, it wasn't Q!
Oh, it was backspace, wasn't it?
My bad.
Essentially, this device converts one's memories into data, passes that data through a ring singularity, and sends it to the past. The receiver will then acquire the memories of their future self. The Time Leap Machine's biggest innovation, as stated previously, is the ability to send the user's memories into the past. To transcend time, something must pass through a ring singularity. Simply put, the area near a black hole. If anything physical attempted this, it would be crushed by the black hole's supergravity. Suffice it to say, physical objects won't be traveling through time anytime soon.
And then I just had to press backspace, right? Yeah, backspace. My bad. I think it was Q in the last game, wasn't it? Or maybe I'm thinking of other visual novel games. I don't know. There was a game somewhere that you press Q to get rid of the thing, but here it's backspace. I gotta remember that.
However, we were able to circumvent this issue by converting the user's memory into data and sending that data through the ring singularity. And that was only made possible by the existence of Saren's LHC. Hashida's hacking gave us the ability to manipulate the LHC, which is able to create mini black holes. In turn, this allowed us to utilize the infinite compression of the supergravity created by the black holes to adequately compress the memory data. With this extraordinary power, we were able to complete the time leap machine. I finished talking about the time leap machine's functions and dangers, then take a breath. It seems that Mayuri has zoned out due to the complexity of the topic, but Okabe and Hashida seem to have understood sufficiently.
I feel like I'm pronouncing a little better just because when I do that voice, I have to talk a little slower.
Then, my lengthy explanation complete. Silence descends upon the laboratory once again.
They're hein and Well, say something.
Okabe, Hashida and I study each other's facial expressions. It's clear that we're all trying to delay an important decision. How to make use of our time machine's godlike power. Once again, Okabe finally broke the long silence. He cleared his throat, took a deep breath, and spoke.
What should we do? What do you mean? What should we do? How do we use the time leap machine?
Well, who says you have to use it? Okabe surveys the room as he speaks. His gaze settles on me. He probably wants me to state my opinion.
He does respect your opinion. He may not act like he does, but he does.
Sitting in silence in the middle of a debate, as you might expect, is a faux pas. It is a researcher's duty to offer and to discuss their opinion, whatever it may be. But I had my reasons for not speaking up. I was conflicted. Obviously, this isn't something we can freely use. As I said earlier, to monopolize and abuse an ability so godlike would produce the same sort of problems that nukes do.
True. Very much so. Perhaps even worse, or at least capable of being worse.
However, it would be a lie to say that I didn't want to experiment. I wanted nothing more than to test my creation out and see if it worked. This is absolutely my ego speaking. My self-righteousness, inconsiderate desires as a scientist.
Werner? Werner von Braun? I'm definitely not saying that right.
This is like Werner von Braun, who, in pursuing his desire to go to the moon, developed rockets for the military. Only to see his V-2 rockets turn London into a sea of flame. My internal sense of what's right and my desires as a researcher were in conflict with one another. Which is why, when Okabe's gaze fell upon me, I felt there was nothing I could say.
You can say something.
Why is this man only serious in times like this?
Because that's kind of his true nature poking through. When there's no need for him to act crazy or foolish.
I grit my teeth and inaudibly curse under my breath. This man, Okabe Rintaro, is a surprisingly serious person. Even if his Chunibyo comes out in full force when he's worried or backed into a corner. When I talk about my problems with my father, or if the other lab members are having a hard time, he treats us all with care and respect.
Because he's a good person. He cares about you all.
And I can tell from the look on the face that he's absolutely serious right now. The one staring at me isn't Hyo and Kiyoma, but Okabe Rintaro. This isn't something we can handle alone, that's for sure. The safest thing we could do is hand it over to a research institution and treat it as a national project.
Well, you know he's not doing that. Also, you shouldn't do that.
I muttered my response, knowing full well that I hadn't quite convinced myself. I want to experiment. However, there's no way we can handle something like a time machine. And given the risk involved, I don't just want to use it on a whim.
Because you're the smart, rational one. I just can't wrap my head around the fact that it's real.
I can't wrap my head around any of this.
Well, Mayushi, that might be because you didn't really work on it, right?
I guess so. It didn't seem like Hashida and Mayuri understood the enormity of this situation at first, but from the way they're acting, I can tell that they aren't completely blind to it. Which means that the most important opinion is Okabe's. What about your opinion, Okabe? And to clarify, I'm not asking for Hyoen's, but Okabe's. I emphasize this last point, given that Okabe often retreats into the Chunibiyu act when he's stressed. There's a possibility he would have answered me as Hyoen Kyoma. Still, I think the chance of that would be fairly slim, even if I hadn't nipped it in the bud. As I mentioned earlier, Okabe is fairly serious deep down.
I mean, the fact that you brought it up might make him do it, actually.
In a sense, the reason I emphasized my desire to hear Okabe's opinion was to show my faith in him. As long as it is Okabe Rintaro who speaks, and not Hyoen Kyoma, I will abide by his decision. That was my intent.
I need to drink some water. One moment. Okay.
Even if he decided to perform an experiment, I would be willing to be our test subject.
No, you know it's gotta be him as the test subject. I want to do an experiment,
Okabe said, after a moment of silence. I swallowed my breath. If that's what you've decided. My resolve strengthened. Those words were on the tip of my tongue. But before I could speak them into being, Okabe continued his thought and put an abrupt stop to my momentum.
But there are too many problems to actually perform a time leap right now.
His assertions were correct. The time leap machine alone had its share of problems. And that's before we get to the time paradoxes. For one thing, we can't conduct an experiment with an animal or stand-in. We need a human test subject. I thought of experimenting on myself, but I have to admit, I was afraid. Although I was prepared to offer myself up as a test subject in my excitement, Okabe's words put a stop to that. He asked the other lab members if they're willing to volunteer. Unfortunately, by halting my momentum, Okabe may have put a stop to our experimentation. There was no way Hashida or Mayuri would volunteer. And I think Okabe might have known that. The fact that he spoke at that exact moment may have been a calculated move to kill my momentum. He usually acts like he's incapable of such calculations, but I understand that his intelligence skyrockets in critical situations like this. Or rather, I've come to understand that. Hey. After some half-hearted exchanges, the conversation once again came to a stalemate. Mayuri, who had been silently watching this whole time, finally spoke up. Mayushi doesn't know much about complicated stuff, but... could we just time leap one of the bananas that Mayushi just brought home?
I mean, you could, but it's more important to do it on something conscious and living.
While untenable, I could tell that Mayuri had put some thought into the idea. Her carefree attitude helped soothe my frayed nerves. Well, Mayuri, bananas don't have brains like humans do they? That's right. As I mentioned earlier, the time leap machine needs a human test subject. That was the source of all my fears. And one of the major hurdles to overcome for this machine. Oh, that's right. That's no good then. Mayuri didn't even try to defend her idea after my explanation. She may have been aware that her theory was misguided in the first place. So does that mean she thought it necessary to speak up, to ease the tension in the air? Maybe she didn't think it so much as feel it. I fully understand, in the 2 weeks that we've spent together, that she's no fool. Knowing that, perhaps my suppositions aren't too off base. And her gambit seemed to work. The tension filling the lab had now transformed to something different.
Let's leave this alone for now,
Okabe said, as if guided by the change in atmosphere.
We should hand over the time leap machine to an appropriate research institution. Furthermore, we will publicize it.
Neither Hashida nor I had any objection to this decision. As long as we entrusted the decision to him, that was the sure outcome. A little while later, I was finally able to calm myself down. Humanity's first time traveler. The temptation to use the time leap machine to claim that title was nearly overwhelming, to be honest. It would both prove my proposed theory and symbolize humanity's first step into a previously unknown dimension. I imagine the first people on the moon felt much the same way. But at the same time, there's still fear inside of me. Both the fear of the unknown, and worse yet, the fears passed down to me by my father. My father, Soichi Makise, is a time machine researcher. But because time travel theory is not yet sufficiently tested, the theory is publicly regarded as little more than crazy pseudoscience. My father, Papa, lost everything when people labeled him a junk scientist. He was so attached to the idea of the time machine that he lost his job as a researcher, separated from me and my mama, who was even abandoned by his best friend, who was funding his research.
Yes, a very sad story. Except for the fact that he is a bit of an asswipe.
But research often pushes into the realms outside of common knowledge. The now commonly accepted Big Bang Theory and the theory that black holes were collapsed stars were both laughed at the time of their publication. Theories that we now consider essential to our understanding of the universe were thought to be junk science.
Yeah, things change with time, as we learn more and more things.
That is why, as a scientist, it is inappropriate to reject things without a second thought, even if they are seen as crazy. All things deserve proper verification and confirmation. While I told myself this, I still found it hard to accept. In my mind, ideas that are too bizarre, too crazy, or too new are best avoided. To be blunt, the Big Bang and black hole theories were the exception to the rule. Most of the junk theories we see in this world end up being just that. Junk.
True.
The time machine theory is certainly among their ranks. There's very little evidence to back up the time travel claims, and mountains of reasons to reject them. In essence, it's the junkiest of all junk.
It is the coolest junk, though.
So, as a scientist, simply the fact that we've made a time machine is incredibly stressful. I don't want to end up like Papa. That fear strikes me directly in the heart. But that's not my only fear related to him. If my papa, who sacrificed everything in his life to research time machines, if he found out that someone else had successfully created a time machine, I'm afraid of how he'd feel.
He'd feel like stabbing you and sealing all the glory for himself.
It's true that Papa and I were estranged because I rejected his time machine theory when I was younger. But at the same time, that theory motivated me. If the time leap machine actually works, regardless of whether or not his specific theory is correct, nobody could call him a junk scientist for studying time travel anymore. He might even be able to receive funding from a major company again.
I mean, clearly they're gonna want you, even if he is your father.
It's hard to stand still thinking of that. I could fulfill several personal goals by testing the time leap machine, sating my curiosity about the unknown, fulfilling my desires as a scientist, enabling my papa to be accepted by the scientific community, enabling him to accept me. But, at the end of the day, all of them only serve to feed my ego. That's no reason for us to wield the powers of a god.
Yeah, she's level-headed and mature, which is good. And why it's important that she's part of this team, and someone close to Okabe to help him make decisions. Even though he still makes bad decisions.
Okabe's decision to call off the experiment helped me realize this. I breathed a sigh of relief from the bottom of my heart. It took some time for me to accept it, but I can't help but think how extraordinary Okabe is. He helped me realize something I'd nearly lost sight of. He may be an annoying, crazy Chunibiyu, but still. I suddenly look at the clock. 4:54 p.m.
あら、もうこんな時間か。
How is it already this
寝
late?
不足だと時間感覚
I guess time flies when you're sleep deprived. Almost 5. Though we opted not to test the time leap machine, Mayuri suggested that we celebrate its completion, which turned out to be a very good decision. It would be a shame to not have any sort of event to look forward to after working through the night.
True. You need that, mental healing by celebrating and hanging out with each other.
I'm not one for parties, but the lab I worked at in America would take any excuse to throw one. My professors and supervisors told me that we scientists wouldn't last long without them.
Of course.
Which is why it was just about time for me to go out and buy party supplies. Okabe and I have been tasked with shopping for food and drinks. Mayuri has already gone out to invite the other lab members, and Hashida had left, citing some other obligations.
Oh?
All of a sudden, Okabe's cell phone rings. Is someone calling to say that they're coming to the party? Or could it be from Mayuri or Hashida?
Okay, that voice, or that sound effect, implies a facial expression that he is not making right now.
Okabe answers and puts the phone to his ear without a greeting. He lets out a trembling breath. Based on his reaction, it's likely that Hashida's launched into some lengthy story. It's certainly not the way he would answer a call from Mayuri.
Well, he knows other people.
I approach the sofa where my jacket lays, intending to swap it with my lab coat and head outside. At that moment, out of the corner of my eye, I see Okabe lift a folding chair into the air.
Huh?
岡部、何してんのよ。
Wait. Is he destroying the time leap machine? What's he doing?
Okabe, what the hell are you doing? Shocked at what I was seeing, I ran over and grabbed hold of him. I planted my weight on the tatami mat on the floor and reached up to catch his arms before he brought the chair down. I was so surprised that I didn't even have time to think. What was Okabe trying to do just now? If I'm seeing things correctly, Okabe was about to bring that chair down on
The time leap machine? Why?
The time leap machine. Did you just try to destroy it? I couldn't believe what was happening. Okabe probably cared more about this machine than anyone else. While we decided against using it, its very existence marked the beginning of a new era for humanity. So, why would he destroy it? At this point, this machine is not just our own. One could call it an asset to the entire human race. An asset like that absolutely must not be destroyed by a single man's decision. Okabe stares blankly into space without saying a word. He wasn't so much looking at me as looking through me. There's no need to destroy anything. My voice trembles. I don't understand. Perhaps this is an Okabe that I've never seen. One that I don't even know. We're not going to perform any time leaps. We've already decided that. Isn't that enough? I was angry, confused, and above all, uncertain. Once again, the fear of the unknown crept over me. All of these feelings mixed together and spread through my body. Just put the chair down. Still struggling with how to resolve this situation, I ordered Okabe to put the chair down. He slowly complied. That's when I finally realized. Okabe's air had completely changed since just a few minutes ago. His face showed signs of distress. He looked like an old man who had lived a life of suffering.
Wait. Is this an Okabe who came from the future? Did he, the phone call, was that him downloading his memories into himself from the future?
I don't know what happened to him, but his pain expression looked as if it had been carved from the Okabe I once knew. You look pale. What's wrong? Okabe doesn't respond to my ignorant question. He completely clams up. The agony on his face is clear as day, yet he chooses to suffer in silence. If this was his usual Chunibiyu nonsense, if it was all an act, that would be fine. In fact, I wish it were. I would rather Okabe try to make a fool out of me than suffer something that would make him look like this. Are you listening to me? Frustrated that I don't understand Okabe's pain, I close in on him as if to press it for an answer. And in response, Okabe ran.
Coward.
Hey, wait. Ignoring my words, Okabe dashes out of the lab. I tried to stop him, but couldn't move fast enough. Hold on! I told you to stop! Angrily shouting at him, I ran after Okabe as he took off towards the streets of Akihabara. But his head start was too great. By the time I reached the hall, Okabe was nowhere to be seen. Where did he go? Why would he do that? My head swimming with questions as I tried to intuit which way Okabe ran, I heard a door open behind me.
Hey, what's going on? What's all the ruckus?
The voice behind me belonged to this building's owner, Tanoji-san. Oh, I'm sorry, did you happen to see which way Okabe went?
Oh, what's he up to now? I figured something had to be up, given how fast he ran out of here.
Tanoji-san tilts his neck and stretches his shoulders with a groan. It doesn't seem like he's got a good look from inside his shop. As I turned back towards the streets and tried to decide which way to go, Nai-chan emerged from the shop as well. I saw Uncle Okarin run that way. He looked kind of scary. Nai points down the road heading to Akihabara Station. If you follow that road from the lab, you'll find a park 50 meters away that creates a T-shaped intersection. From there, the path splits. One road leads towards the Kanda Myojin Shrine, and the other to Chuo-dori. I will struggle with the names a little bit. There's no way for me to tell which way he went. Okabe. Did something happen? No, nothing important. Just a little confusion, so don't worry. Thank you, Nai-chan. I thank Nai and run toward the heart of Akihabara, hoping to find Okabe. There's no way I can leave him in the state he's in. I had the feeling that I needed to ask him what was really going on, before he did something that couldn't be undone. I scoured Akihabara, wandering aimlessly through the Kanda Myojin Shrine, the Sumagoe Shrine, and Chuo-dori, until I eventually found myself in an alley behind Daibiru. The sun had nearly set, dyeing everything around me in the distinctive amber glow of an August twilight. Where are you? I'm completely spent. My breathing had grown ragged, not because I don't exercise, but I haven't run this much in a long time. A nearby vending machine caught my eye, and I suddenly realized just how thirsty I was. No Dr. P, huh? Now more than ever, I wanted a nice refreshing carbonated beverage. Unfortunately, since they didn't sell my favorite brand, I had to settle for a can of coffee.
You didn't have to.
I sighed as I take in my surroundings. No sign of Okabe here either. Where have you gone? I felt like cursing him out, but what came out of my mouth was just the opposite. I wasn't angry at him. I was worried. I finished my drink, tossed the can into the recycle bin, and continued to look around. I don't know why I'm so worried about him. Because we're allies. Is it because of what he said to me? When did I start taking an interest in him in the first place? I was curious enough to observe him at the start, of course, but when did that basic interest become something more? I've only known him for a few days, and my reservations have already been swept away.
That's all it takes with him.
To be fair, I initially thought that he was some sort of gangster or criminal, so those reservations were somewhat misplaced. He made me realize just how much of a facade I had built up for myself during my time in America. While I've certainly been annoyed by some of my more stupid conversations with Okabe and Hashida, they've never caused me pain. Somehow, while it's hard to admit, I think I might be in love with Okabe. I think I fell for him the moment he said he'd go to Amori with me.
Of course. You are my assistant, and I will do whatever it takes to ensure that you're in peak mental condition for the experiment. Honestly, to me, it felt like a proposal. The moment wait, it's us talking.
Honestly, to me, it felt like a proposal. The moment he said that, time seemed to stand still. You kind of pissed me off. I thought that Okabe must tell women stuff like that all the time.
No, he definitely doesn't.
Otherwise, there's no way that 5 out of the 8 lab mems would be women. Of course, that sort of thing would make women like me misunderstand what he really means. Does that idiot even know what he's doing?
Not really. He wings it.
Or maybe it's a sign of a weakness on the part of the ones who fall for it, suckered in by a massive rush of dopamine. Ever since he told me that he'd go to Aomori with me, I watched that stupid man carefully. His words, his mannerisms. The more I watched him, the more I understood the meaning behind his Chunibiyu act, and the more attracted to him I became. No. There's no way I can admit that.
You just did.
I can't admit it. I can't. But, well, you know. He is kind of attractive. In that moment, I realized that I'd given in. In that moment, I understood that being near him put me at ease. Or at least, it would, if it weren't for the newfound nervousness after realizing my feelings for him.
Aww.
It's too late to try to control it now. I'm not the kind of person who can change her feelings once she's fallen for someone. I realized that the persona I wore at Victor Krondoria University's Neuroscience Institute, that of the outward-looking citizen, was unnecessary in front of Okabe. And when I let the mask fall, I felt at ease, more so than I ever have in my life. It's the same sort of freedom I get when I post on @channel. But Okabe is suffering, as if his joy is irreversibly proportional to my own.
Inversely. Why did I say
Inversely proportional to my own. It's like he's unable to move forward. Though I don't yet know why, it seems that whenever he deviates from his usual state, my condition deteriorates as well. It's like I can't get air into my lungs. I don't like that feeling. Stop trying to struggle through it alone, and talk to me. You listened to my problems, didn't you? My thoughts are interrupted by the sound of my cell phone. Could it be Okabe?
Well, it's clearly not. It's Hashida. It's Daru.
Holding on to this hope, I looked at the screen only to see Hashida's name. Hello?
Oh, hey, Makise. Is something up? No one's here at the lab.
Without wasting a second, I tell Hashida all about Okabe's odd behavior. I initially ran after him out of adrenaline and momentum alone, but now I realize that searching for him myself would be unproductive.
Huh? What's Okarine's deal? Alright, I'll ask around on my end. I'll let everyone know to contact you if they have any information.
Hang on. Understood. I'm counting on you. I hope someone out there can help us find a clue. Closing my cell phone with what looked like a prayer, I ran off once more into the sunset-lit city in search of Okabe. As I wandered through the city in search of Okabe, I suddenly realized how crowded the streets had become.
Hey, did you hear? They stopped the train over a terrorist threat.
Terrorists? Seriously? They're gonna make me late for my meeting. I overhear some unsettling news. Terrorists? Here in Japan? As shocking as the thought was, no country, no matter how peaceful, is immune from the possibility of a terrorist attack. And with public unrest growing lately, that only seemed to be on the rise. Because research facilities are often targets, I've been given basic lectures on how to deal with acts of terror. But even then, I never thought I'd have to deal with an attack in Japan. Whether or not the rumor was true, the trains had been stopped. The once bustling railways now stood bare. I open my phone and take a look at @Channel's news page to see it bustling with threads on the topic. Of course.
Is it true that a bomb threat stopped all trains on the Yamanote line? The Sobu line and Heian Tohoku line? Is that really their response? Old news. It's all stopped. I'm still stuck in Akiba. Where was the bomb? So fake, lol. Terrorism in Japan? Seriously? Ha! Dumbasses. You're the dumbass. What, you think it's just impossible? You don't think there are crazy people in the world? Why would someone launch a terrorist attack on Japan now? Reasons. I'm in Shinjuku. They forced us to get off the train. The attendants are evacuating us to shelter. Up pics.
People had already uploaded pictures of station attendants escorting people out of stopped trains. It seems like it must have been going on for a while. And in front of Akihabara Station, the crowd was so thick that they blocked the view of the road. They'd be practically impossible to walk through. What should I do? Finding Okabe in these conditions would be a challenge. But what if he got caught up in the terrorist attack somehow? Numerous possibilities swirl through my brain, coming and going like a hurricane. None of them are good. Anxiety, dread, pessimism, fear, frustration, unease. I can't just stand here. But I can't decide what to do. I know that acting without care could be fatal, but I can't even begin to formulate a plan.
Oh, we got mail. Oh, Ferris.
Ferris-san? She's lab member 007, isn't she?
Oh god, the original voice I had for her was too stupid. I'll definitely change it.
Makise Kurisu-san? Nice to meet you. I'm Ferris Nyan. I'm sending this to the address that Daru Nyan gave me. We found Okabe-san, but he's acting strange. We should hurry and meet up somewhere. Where's good for you? They found Okabe after all. Thank goodness. But the part where she said he's acting strange disturbs me. I didn't know why, but a chill slowly ran down my spine.
I think you know why.
Nice to meet you. This is Makise. It'd be a huge help if you could bring Okabe to the lab. I'll head there now. I replied to her email and took a breath. My chest feels like it's going to be crushed with worry. Okabe, what happened to you? Dragging my tired feet, I walked back the way I came.
Should have gotten an Uber.
I rendezvoused at the lab to find Okabe, a petite maid, and a middle-aged butler waiting for me. I assumed that the maid was Ferris-san.
You assumed correctly.
The middle-aged butler, on the other hand, was a mystery to me. He looked as though he'd stepped right out of a manga or an anime. Okabe looks worn out to the point that it doesn't seem like he can even stand on his own. Ferris-san and the butler are holding him up with their shoulders. I rushed towards him without thinking.
Correct.
Are you Makise-san? I am. Thank you, Ferris-san, for finding Okabe. Hashida had told me before that this girl was the Rainet champion, and that Ferris Nyan Nyan was a stage name of sorts. Not at all. As soon as Daronyan told me what was going on, I couldn't just twiddle my thumbs. I didn't know all the details, but I knew I needed to find him. For some reason, though, I haven't heard from Daronyan in a while. Does she mean Hashira? Could he still be searching for Okabe? Let's put that aside for now. And Okabe, is he... He's a little calmer now, but when we spotted him at the UPX bridge, we really thought he was about to die. She's not meowing a lot. His face is as wide as a sheet of paper now, so hearing that he was in even worse condition earlier makes my heart ache. Okabe's thoughts, his feelings. I have to find out what's going through his head. Okabe, what happened? But Okabe just stares at nothing. He doesn't make any effort to look at me. There's no use in wasting our time out here. Come on, let's go up to the lab. We asked the butler to shoulder the hollowed-eyed Okabe for us, and made our way into the lab. What, is Hashira here? I turned on the lights and was greeted by a horrifying sight. It's not Mayuri, is it? What the hell? Bloodstains on the floor? Oh, it might be. Evan, Afton, Golden Freddy, welcome in. Hello, hello. And thank you for the, not daily check-in. Congrats on first, I mean. I'm so used to saying thank you for the daily check-in. Huh? What? Why? Farah-san gasped behind me. But her reaction was nothing compared to Okabe. Yeesh. Poor Okabe. I'm sorry. His scream echoes through the lab. He curls into a fetal position, weeping as he calls Mayuri's name. We stood frozen, unsure of how to approach Okabe in this situation. Dang. But in the middle of the chaos, the butler alone calmly surveyed the room.
Excuse me.
While the rest of us stood in shocked silence, he boldly approached the bloodstains and began to examine them.
It appears that there were no fatalities. With this amount of blood, the risk of death should be negligible.
The butler's calm, confident declaration made Okabe stand up and rush toward him.
No risk of death? Is Mayuri safe? And Daru too?
Okabe looked like a man possessed. Okabe thinks this blood might belong to Mayuri and Hashira. No, he's convinced of it. Of course, that's because he came from the future.
Well, they certainly weren't murdered here. Judging from the blood spatter, it seems someone was stuck with a metal object. But it doesn't appear that anyone collapsed. There are signs of a struggle, but it seems to have occurred while everyone was standing. It seems to me that they were taken away while they were still standing. Taken away. Saren. Rounders, maybe.
With tears in his eyes, Okabe nearly collapses under the weight of his despair. I grab him by the arm before he can. Talk, Okabe. What in the world is going on? What happened to Mayuri and Hashida?
The bite of 87, yeah. Yeah, that's all it was. It's not fatal this time.
Try as I might, it was impossible to keep my cool. 2 of my friends just had disappeared, leaving only bloodstains in their wake.
It's possible that... I can't say for sure, but I believe they were taken by Saren's rounders. They definitely were.
Saren? Excuse me? Why?
The whack of 26. The time leap machine. They found us.
My heart stopped. Saren, the European Society for Nuclear Research, the world's largest particle physics research organization. Despite their over 40 years of time machine research, they have kept the results hidden from the rest of the world. Rumor has it that they've even killed the human test subjects in their secret time travel experiments.
It's not a rumor.
Wait a minute. If they were here for the time leap machine, why would Saren kidnap Mayuri and Hashida? Besides, how does the research institution pull off something like this?
The Rounders.
The Rounders are thugs and trained professionals and killers, an assortment.
Saren has operational forces, known as Rounders. In order to ensure their exclusive control over time machine technology, they attacked us during our celebration party and killed Mayuri right here.
What? But the butler just said...
Because Okabe wasn't here.
I looked to the butler for confirmation that Okabe was incorrect. The butler merely shook his head with a slight smile. He seems confident in his assessment. But the reason for Okabe's grim proclamation was made clear by what he said next.
And that's why I jumped back to the past, with the time leap machine.
Wait. Then you...
I leapt through time.
My mind went blank for a moment. He had traveled through time using the time leap machine, the machine we agreed not to use due to the need for human testing. Though I had full confidence in my time travel theory, all theories are subject to experimentation and analysis before they're recognized as valid. That's why I felt both relief and regret when we decided not to test the time leap machine. But what Okabe just said validates my theory and speaks to the machine's effectiveness. To say I was unhappy would be a lie.
Yeah, you wouldn't be unhappy about the machine working. Just unhappy about, I guess, the reasons why he had to test that it works.
For a researcher, nothing compares to the moment a breakthrough theory of hers is proven true. For just a moment, the terrifying situation I was in melted away. All I wanted to do was ask Okabe about traveling through time.
Now is not the time.
But this feeling of elation was shattered by Okabe's sorrowful howl.
To save Mayuri.
Save Mayuri?
But I can't. And why? Why can't I save her? Tell me. Why is it that Mayuri has to die?
Mayuri has to die. I tremble at the cruelty of those words. Just hold on. If all this is true, why didn't you go straight to the police?
I went, but they didn't listen. What I told them sounded like absolute nonsense. Besides, they've killed Mayuri too. I don't know whether it was an accident, or if Rounders have infiltrated the police force. Oh, right. In one of them, she was killed by a cop, wasn't she? Or by him calling the police and then them finding him. I kind of forget. It's been a year. Still, no matter what I do, Mayuri ends up dead. There's no one I can depend on. No one I can talk to. All I can do is leap back, over and over again. I couldn't save her.
Okabe screamed so loud, I thought he might cough up blood. Mayuri's death, repeated over and over. Leaping through time, over and over again. A hellish circle of time, an endless cycle of tragedy. No matter how many times he tries to save her, Mayuri inevitably dies. By someone's hand. Through some turn of events. By sheer coincidence. Between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. To be more precise, apparently there was one instance in which Mayuri's death occurred later than all the others. In that instant, apparently he was shown a picture of Mayuri transformed into a jellyman around 8 p.m. I nervously checked the clock. 8 p.m. has already come and gone. If what Okabe is saying is true, then Mayuri is already...
She dead.
Okabe raises his voice. It seems he noticed that I was looking at the clock, which in turn drew his eyes toward it.
Which triggered him.
And then he realized that it was already past 8 p.m. Oh no. Before I'm fully aware of what I've done, Okabe's mouth and eyes open wide. In despair. Never before had I heard such abject sorrow. And I doubt that I will ever again as long as I live. And from his shock, Okabe burst into madness.
Even madder than the mad scientist.
As he tore at his head and wildly swung his arms around, the butler slowly and gently approached him.
Knocked some sense into him.
And Okabe collapsed with a slight groan. He'd lost consciousness.
It had to be done. Do forgive me. I feared that if I did not intervene, Okabe-sama would have dealt himself serious emotional or physical damage.
No, thank you, Kuroki. I think Hyoma should rest for now. Because... This is too much. Ferris-san's eyes also flooded with tears. Admittedly, I hadn't fully accepted everything that Okabe had said as truth. But, looking at him now, I had no choice. I want to believe him.
Yeah, he's freaking out too much for you to not believe him.
But if I do... At any rate, we can't just stand around. We need to do something. Saren, the Committee of 300, Rounders, we were living in a nightmare straight out of one of Okabe's Chunibiyu delusions. But this is reality, as a despair in front of us can attest to. But, what can we do? I can hardly take all of this in. We have to think. Hashida and Mayuri's faces emerge in the back of my mind. And in front of my eyes is Okabe, his pain evident even as he slept. There's no way I can ignore this. Okabe didn't just ignore my problems with my papa, after all.
True. He stood by you. May I have a moment, young mistress?
What is it, Kuroki? Have you come up with something? As we struggled to make sense of the absurd and tragic situation before us, the butler, apparently named Kuroki-san, speaks.
Of sorts. While the intricacies of our current situation continue to elude me, may I suggest consulting your father for now? Her father? Her father's not dead? Oh. Is this after... Oh yeah, it would be. This is after all the changes he made.
Papa? Ferris' son's father. If he's someone we should consult at a time like this, could he be a cop?
No. Way higher than that.
But Okabe said that the police were also under Saren's direct control. Then, what kind of man is he? Regardless, I'm not thrilled about the idea of relying on an adult.
You do realize the one on your right is an adult, right? An old man.
One can say that it's because I've accomplished everything in my life on my own. But at this point, our options were limited.
Also, you realize she's not 18 yet, right? But like, soon you'll be an adult yourself. You're basically saying that the moment you become an adult, you'll just immediately become unreliable.
And my experience as a working member of an American research institute does not chance the fact that I'm not even old enough to drink. No amount of effort can make up for a lack of social experience, and I certainly haven't learned how to deal with things like this.
True. You definitely have not.
Outside of contacting law enforcement, I have no idea what to do. And given that we can't trust the police, that puts us all the way back at square one. Normally, I would have called bullshit on Okabe's claim that they infiltrated the police, but the desperation in his eyes convinced me otherwise. Besides, if the terror threat that shut down public transportation was Saren's doing, we don't have much time to think. I saw Ferris hesitate for a moment, but in an instant she steeled her expression in a show of determination. I don't think it's a good idea to stay here any longer. Let's go to my place. We're going to your place? Your house? Her words catch me off guard. The time leap machine is a prototype that is only confirmed to work in this lab.
Because of the CRT downstairs.
If we leave, it's going to be a lot harder to keep it safe. That said, if we accept Okabe's claims, it's kind of odd that the time leap machine hasn't been taken already. Then, Kuroki responds to my question for Ferris.
Makise-sama, the young mistress is correct. This place may be attacked again. I believe the best option is to change location.
Let me drink some water.
And please, don't worry. Once we depart, I will arrange for someone to guard this place.
Ferris nods at Kuroki's words, her eyes beaming with confidence. The two of them seem to have this situation under control, insofar as it could be controlled. Who on earth are these people? It feels as though they're backed by a powerful organization, which struck me as rather suspicious.
Nah, she's just rich. She's just the, city princess.
But I didn't have anyone else I could count on. Got it. Above all else, we can't afford to leave Okabe in a dangerous place like this, in his condition. One look at the unconscious, agonized Okabe reaffirmed that belief. We readied ourselves to change location, praying my Yuri and Hashida's safety all the while. Akihabara Times Tower. It's the tallest condominium whatever, complex in Akihabara, complete with a view of Mount Fuji and Tokyo Tower from its top floors. And the top floor of this Akihabara station adjacent complex was Ferris-san's home. I must admit, a high-end condo with its own concierge service is certainly a much safer location than the lab's Ohayama building. In fact, this might have been the safest place for Okabe, given everything that was going on. On our way, Ferris-san reached out to her father to make sure he was home. She told him to make certain arrangements and that she would fill him in on the details later.
Rumio!
Rumiho. Is that her real name? Ferris-san's father gave his daughter a big hug as he welcomed her home. Seeing a display of affection like this, one especially rare in Japan, fills my chest with a subtle, hard-to-describe emotion. I should be familiar with this. I know what the emotion's supposed to be, of course. But now's not the time to worry about it. I assist Kuroki in laying Okabe down in the bedroom. Kuroki tells me that he plans to call the family doctor later, to give Okabe some sedatives. I sigh in relief. Then, I return to the living room to formally introduce myself to Ferris-san's father. The man, having just finished hugging his daughter, smiled gently as he noticed me and enthusiastically offered his hand.
You must be Rumiho's friend. I'm her father, Akiha Yukitaka. Nice to meet you.
I shake his hand without hesitation. I've lived in America so long that it's almost uncomfortable meeting someone without a handshake.
Makise, Kurisu desu.
I'm Makise Kurisu. He recognizes the name? Yes.
はい、そうですが。
Yes, that's right.
Hello, Dribbling. Welcome in. Hello, hello.
And thank you. Still holding my hand, Yukitaka Oji-sama tilts his head and looks at me. It seemed as though he was studying my face. Don't tell me he's one of those perverted old men.
No, I think he just recognizes you.
Just as I was about to ask Ferris-san for help, Yukitaka Oji-sama mentioned a name I didn't expect to hear.
Your father's name? Yes. Is your father Makise Shoichi by any chance?
What? How do you know my father's name?
I knew it. So you are Kurisu-chan. What a coincidence. You've grown up into a fine young woman.
Papa, how do you know Mr. Makise?
Soichi and I are old college buddies.
No way.
At one point, I even funded his research.
Oh, the friend who stopped funding it.
I was the sponsor, and Soichi was the genius researcher. Our joint mentor, a professor of ours, advisor and supported us.
You funded... I feel like I've heard this story before. It was the reason my family had to move to Aomori. At the time, we were living in Tokyo, and Papa was an independent researcher. But the reason we had to move to Aomori, where my father still lives, is because the funding he relied on was cut off. So, This man.
Yep, that's him.
僕らが大学を卒業してもその座組
We kept our little group up for a while after we graduated.
小一は相対
He called it the transcendence of the theory of relativity community.
That's the first I've heard of that. What a name.
Sounds something like,
君はよく
Rintaro would say.
僕の家にも小一に連れられて
In fact, you often visited our home with your father, Kurisu-chan.
当時はお茶の水の方に
Back then, we lived in
そこはうちの会社が傾きかけた時に
Ocha no-
売却したんだが庭まで
Ochanomizu. We had to sell the place since my company was going bankrupt. But we actually had a yard.
そこで君
You and Rumiho used to play together out there.
What?
ということは私と渚さん
Does that make Makise and I... Or, make? Why do you say make? Does that mean Makise and I are childhood friends? Ferris and I stared at each other in disbelief. So much has happened today that I feel like my nerves are about to short out.
というか黒木もその
I can't believe you didn't mention it,
気
Kuroki.
づかなかったのかい
Didn't you realize who it was?
いいえ
I did recognize her, but I decided it would be more prudent to prioritize Okabe-sama's safety over discussing old memories.
そうかありがとう
Reasonable. And thank you, Kuroki, for looking after my daughter's friend.
さて
And now, to the matter at hand.
Right. Yeah, right now, my papa's history and my unknown connection to Ferris are irrelevant. Right now, we need to keep our focus on Okabe.
すみません
I'm sorry for asking for your help out of the blue.
I don't think he minds.
いや頼って
Not at all. In fact, it's good you did.
His tone was cunning and sharp, as if he had transformed from the easygoing, nostalgic man who stood before me a moment before. He was no longer a father, but a shrewd businessman. His gaze is sharp as a knife. His eyes are like a hawk's taking in everything around him.
ルミホから連絡をもらった時は半信半疑だったけどね
When Rumiho called me,
念のため
I could hardly believe what I was hearing.
人にお願いしたんだ
So I called a buddy of mine and,
そしたらね
well,
お世話になっている人
A
ですか
buddy of yours?
ああ
Yeah. They manage the street vendors at festivals around Akihabara, like the Kanda Festival at the Kanda Myojin Shrine, for
ちょ
example.
っと話をしたのさびっくりしたよ
And what they had to say took me by surprise.
確かに連絡があった
It was just as Rumiho said.
警察や鉄道会社に
The Rounders have been interfering with both the railway company and the police department.
断りがあったそうで
They even tried to interfere with my friend.
My breath caught in my throat at what must have been the 1000th shock I've received today. It's not that I didn't believe Okabe, but to know for certain that Saren is actually able to influence organizations like the police leaves me shaking.
君たちが戻ってくるまでの間に
I looked into it while you were on the way here,
そもそも
and it sounds like they're blocking off the entire Akihabara neighborhood and limiting entry.
見た目はそうじゃないけれど
It may not look that way at a glance, but they're essentially set up police security checkpoints.
多分それで
I'd imagine they planned on capturing Kurisu-chan and Okabe-kun as they tried to get out.
Capturing us? I shuddered. We're being targeted by a powerful organization. Given that Okabe, Hashida, and I were the driving force behind the time machine, we must be their main focus. Thinking on it now makes me even more worried for Mayuri and Hashida's safety. Especially Mayuri, since she's not actually part of it. So they don't need
君
her.
たちは一体何に巻き込まれた
Time travel? What in God's name have you managed to get yourselves caught up in?
具体的に詳しい話
I want you to tell me every detail.
一体
We need to get to the bottom of exactly what's going on in Akihabara right now.
何が起こっているのかを見極め めるためにもね。
There was a subtle anger in Yukitaka Oji-sama's voice. It wasn't directed toward us. His anger was directed toward the intruders stomping through the place he lives, the place that he's built up and nurtured over the years. An anger born from the desire to protect the town he loves, like a mother bird defending her nest.
なるほど。
I see.
In the end, it took the three of us, Ferris, Kuroki, and me, over an hour to tell Yukitaka Oji-sama everything that was going on. Well, to the extent that we were capable, at least. The only one of us to timely witness Mayuri's numerous deaths, or know anything about Saren, Rounders, or the Committee of 300, is Okabe. Under normal circumstances, his testimony would be invaluable for clarifying certain details and verifying what he had to say. But given his unconsciousness and extreme mental fatigue, that's simply not an option. It's not surprising. The shock and despair he's gone through would be unbearable even for someone trained to cope with mental trauma. I'm only still standing right now because I'm forcing myself to think rationally. Which is why we ended up telling Yukitaka Oji-sama Okabe's story on our own. It was a long explanation fraught with false starts, speculation, and clarifications, but we finally finished.
Let me drink some water. So it's interesting to see this perspective, because obviously we didn't see all this in the original game. I think I do remember there being a part though where he tries to destroy the machine and Kurisu stops him and then he runs away. So this is what happens after that.
That said, Yukitaka Oji-sama's initial response didn't seem positive. He tilts his head down, frowns, and seems to lose himself in thought. He must not be able to believe it. No surprise there.
Well, I mean, he was funding the research for time travel, so...
It didn't come from Okabe, after all. No, it's hard to believe even coming from Okabe himself. I wouldn't have believed him myself if he weren't so desperate. I would have written it off as yet another Chuni Biyu fantasy. Otsu.
クリスちゃん。
Yes?
Yukitaka Oji-sama unexpectedly breaks the silence. Yes?
僕と君のお父さん。
I told you earlier that your father and I had been friends since college, and that I funded his research, correct?
Yes?
So you're gonna explain what that research was, which was surely the time machine.
Correct. Though I have to admit, I'm still having trouble comprehending that. It was when Yukitaka Oji-sama's funding ceased that Papa's lifeline as a researcher was cut off. I remember him telling me that when I was little. But that was just Papa's perspective. Yukitaka Oji-sama must have had his reasons.
I mean, he just said that he went bankrupt.
But that's all in the past anyway. I don't hold any grudge against Yukitaka Oji-sama. Although Papa did take Mama and me back to his home in Aomori, so he could devote himself to his research without worry about money. Maybe that was a sign that he'd already lost hope. Of course, I know that Yukitaka Oji-sama had his reasons. Papa had told me that he might have pulled his funding because his company was facing financial issues. That's why I don't intend to hold him responsible for what happened.
I mean, he just repeated that already.
じゃあ。
Then, do you know what the transcendence of the theory of relativity community was actually researching?
There was something strange in his voice. As if sorrow, anger, and nostalgia were all blended into one. And I find myself stunned at his question. I've never been told the finer details of Papa's research with Yukitaka Oji-sama. But Papa only ever researched one thing. I can make a pretty confident guess. Yes, I know. Once again, the shadow of my father looms over me. And yet,
The three of us, Soichi, our mentor, professor, and I, held regular secret meetings in order to create something.
for Papa and Yukitaka Oji-sama, these memories are treasures from their early adulthood. Can't you just say Yuki Oji-sama?
Yes, we were trying to create the very thing that you created. A time machine.
Which is why he can believe us. Oh, really? That's so... childish.
You're one to talk. Can't you at least call it romantic?
Yukitaka Oji-sama told us briefly about the transcendence of the theory of relativity community. Papa and Yukitaka Oji-sama's mentor, the professor was the first to research time machines. It all began when Papa snuck a look at his notes. That hairstyle, though. The dream of the time machine inspired Papa and Yukitaka Oji-sama into forming a group with the professor they once avoided. That group became what Papa dubbed the Transcendence of the Theory of Relativity Committee. The professor had all the ideas and inspiration, but didn't have the scientific and technological means to make them a reality. Papa handled the actual R&D. In other words, the professor had the ideas, Yukitaka Oji-sama the funding, and Papa the research and engineering. This was how the committee was functioned. In that way, it was a lot like our future gadget laboratory, where our crew centers their work around Okabe. Okabe has the ideas, I construct the theories, and Hashida conducts the actual experiments. This means Papa handled both my and Hashida's roles. The parallels are obvious. Yukitaka Oji-sama must have realized this when he heard about the time leap machine, which would explain the complicated emotions in his voice. The next generation succeeded where his failed. Did his odd tone stem from pride? Or from jealousy? Why not both?
I would imagine a little bit of both, but probably more... Well, I would say he probably wants to be more prideful. But considering that this is all coming with the situation we're in now, it's not jealousy, but just a feeling of unfortunate that we've surpassed them. And now we're in this situation.
Of course, there's no way for me to know for sure. And I may very well be oversimplifying things. He's clearly dealing with some complicated personal feelings.
I understand certain aspects of your story, because we were trying to make the same thing. No, that's not quite right. It's not that I understand per se.
This may be the first time I've heard Yukitaka Oji-sama doubt his own words. What do you mean?
Perhaps I have some understanding of Saren and the Committee of 300 from two perspectives.
This time, it was my turn to frown upon hearing Yukitaka Oji-sama's words. Two perspectives? Papa, what do you mean? Why is she not saying nya a lot? Although I don't know if she says that much in front of her father.
For the first, or perhaps I should say our professor, was acquainted with them. You're forgetting a word. Was acquainted with them. He conducted his time machine research in near absolute secrecy. He kept external cooperation to a minimum to avoid leaks. Soichi fully agreed with the policy, so I was the outlier. There were times when I needed support for funding, so things could occasionally get difficult. Thinking back on it now, I believe the professor must have known Saren's true nature.
Probably. In other words, he had remarkable foresight.
Oh, hang on. I need to ban a AI viewer scam. Ban. There we go. Okay.
But then there are cases like Okabe. It's difficult to tell what the truth actually is.
では
Then, what's the second perspective?
300人委員会のことだよ。
It has to do with the Committee of 300.
正確にはそのものを
But
知っている
once again, I
わけじゃない
can't claim this knowledge as my own.
Again, I couldn't help but to be puzzled by Yukitaka Oji-sama's words. Seeing the questions written on my face, Yukitaka Oji-sama spoke with a gentle smile.
クリスちゃん。
Kurisu-chan, from your perspective, doesn't it seem like secret societies exist primarily within the realm of fiction? Certainly, yes.
Huh? I wasn't able to come up with a response to a bizarre inquiry. Though it seems he expected my reaction.
実はね。
Truth be told, secret societies are practically a dime a dozen, at least in the eyes of industrialists like myself.
実業家にとってはね。
I don't even know what I'm up against. Faced with the reality of his statement, my brain retreated to one of my regular at-channel references. Sensing my inability to process what I was hearing in my blank expression, Yukitaka Oji-sama explains himself more simply. Essentially, it boils down to this.
Oh.
Long ago, before the Industrial Revolution, the publication and distribution of information was far more costly than it is now. Additionally, with society's rapid advancements and the associated increase in business opportunities, merchants realized that traditional business methods were fast becoming obsolete. Perhaps the greatest change was the unprecedented demand for banks just before the start of the Age of Exploration. This demand transformed the economy entirely.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That marked the end of the old way of doing business. Small range, small scope, small margin businesses were on the way out. Faced with a changing world, the wealthy, in order to protect their profits, searched for ways to construct unions to mutually benefit one another. But these weren't like national unions. These organizations were closed off to the majority of society.
Secret societies.
Some of them kept their very existence a secret, in order to protect their members and activities. These organizations later became known as secret societies. Naturally, there are non-economic secret societies too. For example, Italy's famous Sicilian Mafia was originally a rebel organization that fought against oppression from the mainland. Moreover, the Knights Templar, a centerpiece of numerous conspiracy theories, is not an actual secret society. The belief that the Templars operate in secret to this day is largely due to France declaring members of their order heretics. Outside of France, however, they operated in plain sight.
Ah, I see.
Most notably in Portugal, where the king became a member of the Knights Templar, uniting the country and the organization as one. In other words, present-day Portugal is the Knights Templar. One can hardly call Portugal a secret society.
True. I mean, it's a country.
The Soviet Union, which collapsed before I was born, was originally a secret society, a society that sparked a revolution and turned itself into a nation.
Fascinating. Well, you may not be aware of them. Many secret societies exist today, and they're influencing our world. Well, that's not anything particularly special. Quite the contrary. Quite the contrary, in fact. I'm not sure that you're aware, but your lab is, in a way, a secret society too. And that's something you need to understand. Fair?
To be honest, his words shook me. I'd always thought secret societies were nothing but delusional fantasies thought up by conspiracy theorists and Chunibiyu. But apparently, there are many secret societies influencing the governments of developed countries, simply by voting. Of course, there are still many profit-seeking secret societies whose ambitions don't extend beyond wealth.
Jesus, these words. I need more water. I need a new bottle. The Committee of 300 is the same. I don't know where they rank globally, but they are certainly significant. In terms of business, it would not be wise to pick a fight with them. We don't know their motives, their scale, or their methods. Not knowing how they think is especially damaging. If I could find a way to barter some sort of mutually beneficial agreement, I might be able to reason with them. But it's impossible without knowing what they want. I mean, they want time travel. Farah-san's question is ripe with concern. In response, the corners of Yukitaka Oji-sama's lips curl up. However, we cannot allow these people to do whatever they want in our Akihabara. They will pay for this. At that point, I finally understood. Yukitaka Oji-sama was angry. Duh. Oh, phone call. Oh, please excuse me. You're excused? As he answers the phone that rang up abruptly, Yukitaka Oji-sama dons a slight smile. Oh? They got some information? Then he addresses us as he hangs up. It seems that we have a lead. We captured one of the rounders that you mentioned. Really? That's dangerous. I don't suppose... There's no way they captured her, right? Surely not. Imagine it was Tennoji. Captured? Okabe had said that the rounders killed Mayuri. And we captured one of these relentless murderers? What kind of man is Yukitaka Oji-sama? It feels like we're stepping outside of reality. Maybe all of this is a dream. No, I can't think like that. I need to stay rooted in real life. And at this point, I didn't care if it felt like I was living in a manga. To me, Yukitaka Oji-sama's words seemed like the light at the end of a tunnel. According to Yukitaka Oji-sama, this is what happened. While his manager buddy was in a bar thinking of a plan, a man bound in ropes suddenly appeared lying on the ground out front. This man showed signs of severe physical trauma and was trembling in fear. As I interrogated him, he started to talk openly about being a rounder. The one who brought the man to the bar was a woman with braided hair. Suzu. According to the barkeeper, she took off on a bicycle without so much as a word after she dropped her captive off out front. You can always count on Suzu. The identity of this woman is unknown. No, it's not. Regardless, this provided us with new information about the rounders. Given that the woman offered him up like a present, it's possible that it may be a trap, however. It's not, it was Suzu. Still, the man revealed that the rounders are divided into independent groups, completely unaware of the other rounders' operations. The captured rounder also told us that someone named FB is in charge. FB doesn't give the rounders orders directly, instead choosing to operate through their underlings. FB would be Mr. Braun. Their objective, originally, was to secure an old PC called the IBN 5100. As of yesterday, the man told us a special rounder task force from France had entered Japan. Their objective was to raid the Future Gadget Laboratory, securing the Time Leap machine and its developers. As for the captured rounder, his division was told to spread across Akihabara to prevent said developers, namely we lab members, from leaving the city. He also confirmed our fears. Mayuri and Hashida had been captured by the rounders and taken away, though the man doesn't know exactly where. That time machine you built, the Time Leap machine, was supposed to be secured by the special task force. When you say face, you mean shining finger? Fortunately, I have a friend at a security company, and they're guarding the Ohiyama building. I imagine the Rounders took notice.
Which means coming to Ferris-san's home was the right choice.
Of course.
Speaking of which, I just noticed she's crying. Staying at the lab could have led to a confrontation with the Rounders, coming to take the time leap machine. I shudder thinking about how that encounter would have ended. But where? Have they taken Mayushi and Darunyan? Ferris was driven to tears by her father's story. It doesn't seem like she can just stand by knowing that her friends are in danger. But it seemed like she had no idea what to do. If we can capture this rounder named FB... I think out loud, knowing full well how difficult that would be. We don't have anywhere close to the amount of information we'd need.
Funny thing is, he's right where you're protecting. He's right in that, well, he's probably not, I mean, it's nighttime, so he's probably at home, but technically he's involved with that building.
We don't even know if this FB is in Japan or not.
He is.
If only Hashida were here.
Flashbang. Oh, I got yawn.
I know I'm asking for the impossible, but I'm sure that Hashida's excellent hacking would be able to find us a loophole. Hacking isn't solely about remotely accessing a device or source of information on a computer network. It's about seeing through the opponent's security or passwords and outwitting someone else to find a route in. In that sense, Hashida might have been able to come up with a unique approach for the mess of a situation we're in. One that would defy the Rounders' predictions.
So unfortunate that they took him first.
But he isn't here. It's ironic that we need Hashida's skills in order to find Hashida himself. His contributions to the time leap machine were immense. He was a necessary component of our lab, just in a different way than Okabe. I try to brainstorm, but can't come up with any good ideas. Yukitaka Oji-sama picks up the phone once more.
It appears that this situation may be out of our hands.
In a way, he sounded a little defeated, but his expression was not that of someone who had given up. Papa, what should we do?
I'm glad you asked, Rumiho. Remember this. If you cannot solve a problem on your own, the best thing to do is to seek help from someone you trust. This is a rule of thumb in the business world. Just look at how I asked the manager for help earlier. Humans are incomplete beings on their own. That said, they are surrounded by people, society, and history. The experiences they accumulate, the people around them, and the environment into which they are born all contribute to who that person is. I exist as I am now because of the professor's guidance, because of Suichi, because of Rumiho, because of the town of Akihabara.
Yukitaka Oji-sama continues to say that this is the same for Saren and the Committee of 300. No matter how powerful an entity each may be, they are not completely disconnected from the rest of the world. At least some of their number must have family members. They must have connections to their country, their land, or other human beings. Even America, for all its military might, cannot act unrestricted within the modern international society.
True.
Even the numerous dictatorships that existed throughout history have connections. However, cruel a tyrant may have been, they were not always able to exert their will 100% of the time. And this is where their weakness lies. If the Committee of 300 is some kind of European organization, then that must mean that there are also Indian and Middle Eastern secret societies. Japan, China, and Russia also have their organizations and industries that can impact the international community. If those organizations can be led to mobilize in some way, even if we can't make Saren or the Committee of 300 abandon or change their plans, we might be able to restrict them into making adjustments.
Needless to say, this may not turn out in our favor. Still, it's better than doing nothing.
Smoke them out with other secret organizations? And with that, Yukitaka Oji-sama started making calls. He mostly conducted his business in English, but occasionally would use languages I couldn't understand.
Well, he's well-traveled. Young mistress, Makise-sama.
Ferris-san and I were just sitting and watching Yukitaka Oji-sama place his phone calls in a daze, but Kuroki-san's words snapped at us out of our reverie.
If I may, I would suggest saving your energy. For now, please get some rest.
But I can understand Kuroki-san's perspective. If Yukitaka Oji-sama intends to rely on his connections to take action, there really isn't much the two of us can do. However, given the situation at hand, I just didn't feel like resting. Kyunyan, Kuroki's right. You should rest a bit.
So Kurisu is just Kunyan?
Ferris says as she pulls my arm. But do you know how pale you look right now, Kyunyan? You look like Kyoma. You have to rest. Huh? Pale? I didn't realize it myself, but if I must look pretty tired for Ferris-san to bring it up. Now that she mentions it, I guess I did stay up all night. I didn't even have dinner. To top it off, there's a summer heat to deal with. Coupled with the dire situation, that's a recipe for fatigue.
Absolutely is.
We can't help Kyoma, Mayushi, and Darunyan if we lose you. We need to stay healthy, for Kyoma's sake. Hearing it out loud, I finally realize how irrational I'm being. Ferris-san is absolutely right. I can't do anything for Okabe or Mayuri if I've collapsed. Reluctance, uncertainty, and hesitancy fill my heart, but I am a researcher who values reason above all else. So I should act accordingly. Understood. Ferris, Kuroki-san. Thank you both. I think I will take a rest.
A bedroom is prepared for you, next to Okabe-san's. Allow me to escort you.
I'll let you know if anything happens, Kunyan. Please. After I thank her, I follow Kuroki-san to my bedroom and...
You're just now noticing? I was waiting for you to notice.
Well, that's a strange new nickname.
Well, is it better than Christina?
I couldn't sleep. Even though my body and soul are completely exhausted, my mind is still wide awake, and I can't fall asleep no matter what I do. Tossing and turning in bed, I try all sorts of relaxation and breathing techniques to guide myself to sleep. Nothing works. Staying still only invited unpleasant thoughts. My imagination runs wild with worst-case scenarios, each one making my body stiffen. I keep trying to shake the thoughts out of my head.
That's not gonna work.
I sigh helplessly.
Hello, Mamuma. Welcome in. Hello, hello. Hope you're doing well today.
All I want to do is to help my friends, but I don't have the ability to actually do that. For now, I need to place my hope in Yukitaka Oji-sama, and make sure I'm rested up when we have some leads to follow. And I understand that. I should understand it. At least. But it doesn't help.
Of course.
Not at all. I'm face to face with my own helplessness, my lack of experience.
Well, like you said, nobody can do it by themselves.
自分ではどうしようもないときは、誰か信頼できる人間に力を
If you cannot solve a problem on your own, the best thing to do is to seek help from someone you trust. This is a rule of thumb in the business world. Now, this is the part where she could call Shining Finger, which I hope she doesn't. There's also Suzu, who already helped, and is still trying to help in her own way. Oh my god.
Yukitaka Oji-sama's words from earlier echo in my head. These words were meant to explain our next steps to us, but also to give us a fair warning. There's always the possibility that we can screw up and make things more complicated. If our impatience got the best of us and we stormed out just to be captured by lingering rounders, all of Yukitaka Oji-sama's planning would go down the drain. There's really nothing we can do. Our only option is to rely on Yukitaka Oji-sama, and the best way to help him is to stay put.
True?
This is how it should be, but...
What do you mean, but?
私は
Don't do something stupid. You're the rational one.
結局何もできやしないまま
in the end, I can't do anything. I'm embarrassed by my own immaturity. I'm wishing for power I haven't earned like a child. People should strive to achieve whatever they can, within the range of their abilities and experiences. By running society in this way, each individual would be able to find their niche. If everybody had equal limitless power, human individuality would be meaningless.
True.
I lived in America, where different cultures are accepted and celebrated.
Well, we try. In some places we kinda do, and then other places are stubborn to be ignorant.
I know how dull a world without difference would be. But at the same time, it's also true that I haven't matured enough to simply accept my place in a rigid society.
教授や先輩なら
My professors and upperclassmen would probably say that my immaturity is part of my personality,
未熟な知識
and that there are things that only immature people can do.
True. Such as Rintaro.
As I vocalize my thoughts, I realize something. Professors and upperclassmen? Once again, Yukitaka Oji-sama's words echo in my mind.
Flashbang.
人間はその個人だけで完結した存在じゃない。
Humans are incomplete beings on their own,
人間の周りには
but they are surrounded by
その人間
people,
を取り巻く
society,
人がいる
and history.
社会があって歴史その人間が過去から積み重ね
The experiences they accumulate, the people around them, and the environment into which they are born all contribute to who that person is.
道を示してくれた教授がいて
I exist as I am now because of the professor's guidance,
海を置いて
because of Suichi,
秋葉原の街が
because of Rumiho,
今
because of the city of Akihabara.
I sit bolt upright in my bed.
This room looks familiar.
そうそうだわ
Yeah, that's it. Just as Yukitaka Oji-sama had his connections, I have my own.
Don't depend on Shining Finger.
While I may not come from a different background and age group than Yukitaka Oji-sama, I'm not alone. Papa and Mama, Farah-san, Yukitaka Oji-sama, Kuroki-san, my professors and upperclassmen at Victor Krondoria, Okabe, Hashida, Mayuri. There are many people around me, and if Yukitaka Oji-sama can reach out to people for help, I can too.
Who are you reaching out to?
It's just after 11 p.m. now, meaning it's morning in America.
You wouldn't be reaching out to a certain shorty, would you?
I quickly made a list of people I could ask for help given the time of day. I can only come up with 1 or 2 people, though.
Is one of them a certain shorty with messy hair?
But then I realized something.
今日確か教授の
Oh, yeah, I think you do. But I wouldn't depend on the professor, though. He is... Wasn't he also a rounder, or at least part of the rounders? Works for the rounders.
Today is the professor's lecture meeting. My timing couldn't be worse. One of my former teachers at Victor Condoria's Neuroscience Institute is presenting his research results to professors from other universities today. That alone is going to make him extremely unlikely to be answering phone calls or checking emails.
Alright, we'll try the short stack.
What's worse, I couldn't even get a hold of my upperclassmen, who normally pick up in no time.
Oh, maybe not.
I have no other personal contacts at Victor Condoria.
なんてこと
What the hell?
どうしてこんなタイミング
Why now of all times? And then I remember something that Okabe said.
It's as if Mayuri's death is the will of the world.
Will of the world? Time paradoxes. Is it possible that I'm also under the influence of this so-called will of the world? Okabe said that even if the Rounders did not directly attack, Mayuri will, for some reason or another, die. No matter how many times he repeated the day, no matter how many things he tried, it was imminent. The will of the world, natural providence. Okabe told me he felt something that could only be described as fate. Is this the same force that keeps me from reaching anyone for help, no matter how hard I try? Is the will of the world, as Okabe called it, hindering my actions? No, it can't be. I refuse to accept the idea that we live in a predetermined world. The idea that our fates are set is too absurd to believe. Meaning that something is behind this phenomenon. And if so, we can find out what it is and resolve it to escape this hellish situation.
問題はどうすればその
The problem is, how can we identify the cause? And when we do, how can we remedy it?
Well, you're the genius. Start figuring it out.
Is it even possible for me to solve this on my own?
No. You need help.
I tightly gripped the cell phone that I used to place my calls. Try as I might, I couldn't come up with a good idea. No sooner had I caught a glimpse of hope than it faded away. If this were mere research, I could simply walk away, knowing that discovery is a slow process. But not this time.
どうしたらいいの
What can I do?
Come on, who are you calling? Call somebody.
I half open my cell phone absent-mindedly and see a certain word in the contacts list. Papa.
I don't want to call him.
I tried contacting him a few days ago, but he refused to talk to me. But right now, I need anyone's help. And if that person is Papa, then all the better.
I don't think that person is Papa.
I entered his phone number and pressed call.
Will he actually pick up? I guess he will, if we're putting this here in the story.
But
出ないかそうよね
No?
どうするこんな時間にそれとも
no answer.
私だからかしら
Of course. Nobody would pick up at this hour. Or it might be because it's me. Papa does not like me. No, he may as well hate me. There's no way he would answer the phone for the likes of me.
There might be one reason. Oh, never mind.
I close my cell phone and consciously pull myself upright. I then proceed to exit the guest bedroom and gently open the door of the room next door.
Okabe?
This room is also as dark as the one previous. But from the sound of his breath alone, I knew who was in there.
Okabe.
Should I use this? I'm gonna screenshot this. I finally remembered to take a screenshot. I need to start remembering that. Usually I just depend on the final scene at the end of the game to use, but I need to start taking good screenshots during the game.
Okabe. Gomennasai.
Okabe. I'm sorry. What should I do? Okabe's so worn out. He's suffered so much. For so long. I want to save him, but I don't know how. I don't know what to do for the person I love. I'm completely at a loss.
It's so weird to actually see it from her perspective, actually talking about love constantly.
何が天才よ。
Some genius I turned out to be. I'm confident that I've been working my hardest the whole time. I've done everything I can and have even produced results. But at this moment, none of that has any meaning. I can't make Papa happy. I can't save my friends. I'm useless to the one I love.
Okay, the last two are not true, and the first one, forget that guy, he's an asswipe.
I gently touch Okabe's cheek. It feels like he's lost weight somehow. He might have burned an extreme amount of calories working his brain at such a high capacity after receiving his future memories. Or maybe it's because after dashing out of the lab, he ran all around Akihabara in desperation.
Or both. I would imagine both.
Either way, it's a painful sight.
ごめんなさい。
I'm sorry. I'm so powerless.
こんなにも無力だ。
There's nothing I can do.
何もできない。
I notice tears falling from my eyes. They land on my hand and drip down, wetting my fingertips on Okabe's cheek.
ダメ。
The art does not show that.
嘆くな。
Your face is nowhere near being above your hand.
No,
一番辛い
I
のは
can't cry.
岡部の
I'm not... Okabe's the one suffering the most.
私がここに
I can't cry here. That's right. The one who's in most pain, who has suffered the most heartbreak, is the one who has witnessed Mayuri's death over and over again. Okabe.
He's also witnessed yours.
But that means...
God, these Steingate games love their flashbangs.
An image emerges from the back of my mind.
Wait, are you going to use it?
The time leap machine. The time machine built under Okabe's direction. Right now, I can't think of a way to save Hashida and Mayuri. But what if I change the past?
You're going to use it?
What if I use the time leap machine to get us out of this situation?
ダメね。
Hashida was thinking the same thing in his story, but he never got to use it.
No. I do not fully understand under what rules and logic are involved with traveling through time and changing the past. So far, through our DML experiments, we've learned that modifying past events can significantly change the world. However, most of us cannot perceive these changes.
Aside from Mr. Reading Steiner.
All of this information comes from Okabe, the only person with his Reading Steiner ability.
She actually said it.
If he were lying about this or simply deluded, this hypothesis would collapse immediately. That said, the reason we've come this far is because I believe in his abilities and claims. They're the basis of the time leap machine, after all. Even then, changes in time are very subjective and vague, and only Okabe is capable of observing them.
Hello, Zoth. Welcome in. Congrats on second.
In other words, even if I were to change the past, only Okabe would notice. If I changed the past, my memories would be erased the moment the world changed.
So what would you even be able to do?
And if they were, if Mayuri's life were put in danger again, I would not have the knowledge to keep her from dying.
Yeah, all you would do is just repeat everything that's happened up until now.
Given that she's already died over and over, it seems especially risky. The bottom line is, under the current circumstances, changing the past doesn't make sense without Okabe's involvement. Without the reading Steiner, changing the past is essentially meaningless. Only Okabe can do this, which would mean the burden is entirely on him. It would be too much for Okabe to take. I have to think of an alternative. After muttering that to myself, I realized that the frustration I had been feeling just a minute ago has been somewhat alleviated. I still feel a little impatient, but it isn't clouding my thoughts anymore.
That's good. We need you clear-headed. Hello, Shoujo. Welcome in. Thank you for the lurk.
Maybe seeing your face helped, Okabe. I try to joke, but there's a ring of truth to my statement. Suddenly, exhaustion and sleepiness come crashing down on me.
Thank you for your daily check-in, Shoujo. While he's weak in attack, give him a few smacks. He might break. Kurisu's stronger than she looks. And right now, he's pretty frail.
I should go back to my room. I'll get some sleep, then come up with an idea to fix all of this.
Sacrifices for the greater good.
I quietly move away from Okabe, as to not wake him up, then return to my own bedroom next door. The next morning, after waking from a good night's sleep, I lightly freshen up my appearance and head to the living room. There, I see the exhausted Yukitaka Oji-sama, who looks to have stayed up all night making phone calls, and Kuroki-san, who stood by his side in support. The news is on the big screen, perhaps to provide them with alternative sources of information.
Kurisu-chan. Good morning.
Good morning. How are things going?
Not as well as I'd like.
It seems that Yukitaka Oji-sama has infiltrated the Rounders organization through negotiation and compromise.
That's amazing.
He's been able to learn the location of several lower-level members, as well as a few agents that pass orders along to them,
But not FB.
in some cases, he's even been able to capture them, but he's yet to obtain any information regarding FB, or Mayuri, and Hashida's whereabouts.
Confidentiality. If their confidentiality and haste are any indication, it seems that this particular mission is of high importance to them. It definitely is.
In front of Yukitaka Oji-sama lays several documents and maps with numerous red markings on them. A quick look revealed that these were not only maps of Japan, but of the Far East, Southeast Asia, America, and Europe. There were large-scale maps as well as more detailed ones. Several points had been marked as predicted locations, some of which, it seemed, had already been investigated.
Man, he is good. Normally, after being pushed this far, we would see the opponent either strike back or try to negotiate. So they're not even trying to, they're not trying to do anything to you?
According to Yukitaka Oji-sama, the fact that they haven't done either indicates how high priority their mission is.
Oh yeah, the highest priority.
Sometimes, when prioritizing a single objective, an organization will consider all related losses necessary to its success.
So even with all its members getting captured.
Yukitaka Oji-sama said that the Rounder's response, or lack thereof, to his actions was in line with his strategy. For Saren, the Rounder's governing body, and the Committee of 300 who controls them, gaining sole control of the time machine must be an uncompromisable goal.
I mean, if they have control over time, all of the things that are happening now would be irrelevant.
If one can control time, they can manipulate the past to redo any and all operations, until their success ensured. For them, nothing is impossible. As I said before, This is the power of a god. Who in their right mind would simply hand it over to someone else? If they wish to establish themselves as rulers of the world, their stance is a matter of course. The problem is, that puts the rest of the world at a major disadvantage. Unsurprisingly, Yukitaka Oji-sama is no longer calm and collected. Are you okay?
I keep applying pressure, but it isn't working. Facing off against the Committee of 300 directly wouldn't be a wise decision either.
Although he said this, his expression told me that he hadn't ruled the idea out.
Ah, Rumio. Good morning.
Farah-san made her way into the living room, and seemed to grasp what was going on just by looking at Yukitaka Oji-sama. Sitting beside Yukitaka Oji-sama, she leans toward him and embraces his arm.
Can we give him a nickname? Can we just call him Oji-sama at this point? I've worried you, haven't I? Don't worry. Your papa's still okay.
Okay. Farah-san looked conflicted. She's so worried about Mayuri, Hashida, and Okabe that she can hardly stand it. But she's also worried about her father, working himself to the bone to save them.
I think an android name would work well for him. Honestly. Also, that's funny. When you say android, I think of like the Dragon Ball Z androids, and I could see him as an android. As being like one of them. He would have made a much better Dr. Gero. Perhaps Oji-sama is the type to push himself, whether fighting for his daughter's friends or for his beloved town of Akihabara. There are certain things he can't back down from. He's 23. I could see that number. Especially with the pink hair. So it seems Farah-san is worried that he'll push himself beyond his limits. But at the same time, maybe we can't save Mayuri and Hashida without Oji-sama doing that. I imagine this is quite the dilemma for her. Thank you, Rumio,
said Oji-sama, as he caressed Farah-san's face. Then he reached for the phone to contact another negotiator. A piece of news appeared on the flat-screen TV.
In our next story, early this morning at the Kasai Rinkai Park near the ocean, a salaryman found a van floating in the ocean while he was fishing.
The TV shows footage of Tokyo Bay. As the footage continues, a box-shaped van is pulled out of the water by a crane. Please don't let Mayuri be in there. The crane slowly moves the van over towards land and places it on a blue tarp. For some reason, this makes me incredibly uneasy. I don't like it. Are my nerves being hypersensitive? Unpleasant thoughts rush through the back of my mind.
Hashida should be alive, but Mayuri, they don't need Mayuri, which is why she always dies. And she should be dead, technically.
There are thoughts I don't want to think, but I can't help it.
Yeah. The corpse of a teenage female was found inside the vehicle. Police are now rushing to identify the corpse.
The inorganic, emotionless voice of the newscaster resonates from the TV, and then some of the items left in the car were displayed on the screen.
Yeah, he said the corpse of a teenage girl.
Farah-san stands up without a word. Her eyes open wide as she witnesses something unimaginable. A throbbing sound pulses loudly in my ear. No way. No way. On the screen were a recognizable hat and a green cell phone, both of which once belonged to someone we knew very well. This... This can't be real. Farah-san shakes her head, like a child would. I don't want to accept this. I can't. This is something I should have been prepared for. After what Okabe told me, I should have predicted this.
You even looked at the time last night.
But neither of us were able to accept it. There was no way we could. Farah-san and I were both so stunned that we couldn't take our eyes off the screen. That's why we didn't realize.
Oh, shit. Well, he woke up.
That he had woken up and had entered the living room.
There he goes again.
I turn around to face the voice behind me. There was Okabe, whiter than a piece of paper.
I failed again.
Holding his head in his hands, he drops to his knees as if to repent. Hearing him scream as if his spirit had been torn to 1,000 pieces, I understood for the first time humanity's ability to vocalize such grief. But at the same time, his lament made me accept the undisputable reality of our friend's death. Okabe's scream was evidence that Mayuri really was dead. Up to this point, I'd been deluding myself into thinking that those items they found and the corpse were all fake. That way, I'd be able to say that I couldn't accept Mayuri's death until I saw it with my own eyes.
Well, too bad you have to.
But I was just lying to myself, pathetically trying to obscure the truth. The opposite of what a scientist should do. That's right. I understood the moment I saw the hat and cell phone on the screen. That our precious ally, our friend, was gone from this world. That I would never see her again. But I couldn't accept that. Not like this. It's why I tried to say it was fake. To separate it from reality. To fool myself. But that's nothing more than shallow folly. The reality is before my eyes. The truth stands before me. I know that. I understand. I accept it. She's gone. Mayuri is gone.
Why? Why can't I save her?
At the same time, I can't allow myself to be lost in grief. Both because the scientist inside me still wants to maintain control of the situation at hand, and because I'm in the presence of someone in a much deeper state of grief. Beating his head with his fists and crying, Okabe continues to wail,
I need some water.
I grab his hands, hoping to get him to stop hitting himself, but he quickly breaks out of my grasp.
Why? Why Mayuri? I made the time machine! Punish me! Kill me instead! Why? Tell me! Why does it have to be Mayuri?
He screams into the void, cursing the Rounders and Saren. His screams held such pain, it felt as though they could tear apart the heart of whoever heard them. Though no matter how much pain his listeners felt, his pain was worse. Stop, Okabe! If this keeps up... If this keeps up, you're gonna destroy yourself. I couldn't take it. I hated seeing the person I love reduced to this. Seeing the person I love in such pain. Is there something I can do for him? Anything. Why can't I help alleviate his pain? Helplessness and despair consume my heart. These are not my own feelings. They're Okabe's. His voice alone filled me with his agony and grief. Farison and I couldn't do anything for Okabe, but embrace him. It was all we had left in us.
Do forgive me.
Kuroki-san extends his hand.
What, he did it again?
Suddenly, Okabe slumps to the ground unconscious, just as he did yesterday.
Or did he just simply collapse?
5連続で眠らせるのは良くないのですが。
Okay, you did do something. Did you use chloroform? Or whatever? Knocking him out like this isn't optimal, but I fear leaving him this way would be worse.
The Vulcan pinch. We simply hold on to Okabe in silence, shaking our heads. Kuroki-san seems apologetic, but he provided Okabe with more peace than we could. We have no right to object.
Fair.
This is how useless we are. Our combined experiences, my genius status.
I don't think there's really that many people that can be useful in this situation. Knocking him out pretty much was the only way.
None of that means anything right now. Just as Okabe laments being unable to save Mayuri, I am unable to save Okabe. I can't even start to ameliorate his pain. If only I had Okabe's reading Steiner ability, I could use the time loop machine to change places with him.
But you can't. You don't and you can't.
But even that is nothing but a wish.
You do have the D-mails though, right?
I hold on to him.
Well, the D-mail is extremely limited though. I don't know that you could really get the message across that you need.
I hold on to him, muttering his name over and over, as he'd done with Mayuri only moments before. I can sense Oji-sama and Kuroki-san's concerned eyes on me, but this is all I can bring myself to do.
Oh. Papa? He's actually calling us back? I was thinking he might. Why? Technically, I think the Rounders Saren should have him, right? So the fact that we called him is why he's calling us back. He wants to know where we are so he can tell them.
My cell phone rings and snaps me out of it.
Don't trust your father. Don't do it. He's an asswipe.
I open my cell phone automatically and press the pickup button.
What do you mean again? Again? Don't trust him.
Please, Papa, Okabe, he needs help. Okabe, Papa.
What? What are you?
Help me, please. I can't. Okabe, I can't save the person I love. Feeling useless and awash with despair, I break down sobbing and crying the moment I hear Papa's voice. Not because of the trauma, trepidation, and fear I associate with him, but because I heard the voice of the one who loved me and watched over me as a child.
Debatable. He watched over you, technically. I guess he loved you at some point. Until he realized you were a better genius than him. Then he hated you.
And Papa, taken aback by my tears, seemed like he couldn't even begin to get mad or scold me. Though it was only much later that I realized this. I don't remember most of our conversation, but I was probably babbling incoherently. The overwhelming stress, the years of friction between Papa and me, and the helplessness of being unable to save Okabe, drove me close to infantile regression. I'd let my emotions run wild, something I would normally try to avoid in front of Papa, of all people. What I do remember is that I repeated Okabe's name and help over and over. Neither my dignity as a scientist, nor my appearance and manners as a member of society remained intact. I was simply overflowing with raw emotion. It's a wonder I was able to communicate anything at all. But, during this time, I was amazed that Papa was actually patiently listening to me. Maybe my unusual behavior convinced him that something was really wrong. He may have tried to interject at one point or another. But if he did, I didn't hear it. I think you mean if he did. He certainly didn't hang up on me, at least. By the time I began to come to my senses, I had been venting my emotions at Dad for more than 20 minutes. At that point, I was just sobbing.
I wonder if she'd been able to have this moment somehow during the situation when he wanted to stab her and take all her research and claim it as his own. Would he have still stabbed her? Probably. But I wonder.
Papa, please.
You've got to be kidding. What is this? What do you expect me to do? Help someone I don't even know? Yes.
My heart grows cold, as if he's stabbed me with a sort of ice. Time seemed to stand still. I forget how to breathe for a moment, and my lungs struggle for oxygen.
May I?
Eh? As I struggled to wrap my mind around my father's response, Yukitaka Oji-sama took my phone from my hand.
All right. It's been a while, Soichi. Would it kill you to call your old friend every once in a while?
Still stunned, I watched Yukitaka Oji-sama talk to my papa. Between Papa's cold words and my worry over Okabe, I didn't have it in me to do anything else. Ferris-san comes over to me and gives me a hug. But because I still haven't regained my cool, I hung on to her. Ferris-san, I... Just leave it to Papa for now. Kuroki's taking care of Kiyoma too. Huh? At Ferris-san's words, I look around the room and realize that Okabe had disappeared. Apparently Kuroki-san had taken him back to his room, from the night before. All of this would be too much for Kiyoma to take right now. Uh-huh. It was as if I'd half reverted to a child. Okabe's reaction earlier had done something to me. I could hardly bear to witness it. Something in Okabe's mind must have snapped, worn out by the horrors he had witnessed.
I mean, you don't know what he's been through if he's gone through all the different things. I mean, it's hard to say. Especially if he's gone through that scenario.
To cope with trauma like this, people often become numb and nihilistic, or mentally destroy themselves in their grief. Though in either case, the outcome is the same. They lose who they once were. Okabe was simply experiencing the latter. The weight of his grief had even deeply impacted me, and I'm only feeling his suffering by proxy. I never thought anything other than my father could make me give in to my emotions like this. But what I'm going through speaks volumes about the tragedy that Okabe has experienced.
ねえ、クーニャ。
Yes?
うん。
Ferris, seeing that I've calmed down a little, speaks to me, still holding me tight.
昨日、京馬が言ってたね。
Yesterday, Kiyama said that he saw Mayuri die over and over. Yeah?
マユシーが死んじゃうのを。
And that he leapt through time over and over to prevent her death.
時間を飛んだ。
Yes?
うん。
Ferris gently caresses my head, and keeps quietly talking to me, patting my back from time to time. Where is she going with this?
同じように時間を遡ったり。
Oh, that's where she's going with this. Well... So, if we try to do the same, we could save Mayushi, right? No. Bringing a friend back to life. If there was a way to do so, people would reach for it, no matter the cost. Making a time machine the forbidden fruit. As a scientist, I understand the weight of what she's asking. But, even so, there was only one way I could answer. It's impossible. It's impossible for us.
助かるわ。マユリは。
Oh, I see, that's what you mean. You can only lie.
そうしてみせる。
We'll save her. We'll save Mayuri. I'll make sure of that. Perhaps this is how Okabe felt when he witnessed Mayuri's death. Oh, it's 100% how he felt. My logic and ethics are pushed aside by the dangerous allure of the time machine. Even if I have to risk everything, if there's a way to save Mayuri, I will find it. No matter how grave a sin it may be, no matter how it defies the laws of nature, if there is a means to an end, humanity will take advantage. Even if I had to give up my principles, if I can save Mayuri, to hell with them. If I can spare Okabe his pain, to hell with them. I'll bear the weight of my sins. I'll accept any punishment. An acceptable price to give her her life back. Knowing full well that this defies the natural order.
クリスちゃん、
Yes? You done with your conversation? What did he say? I didn't get to hear any of it. Yukitaka Oji-sama addresses me, still with cell phone in hand. He's still on the phone.
翔一と話すといい。手伝うと言わせたよ。
What? How? Did you offer him money? You should talk to Shouichi. I sadly can't say the name. You should talk to your father. I got him to agree to help. Shoichi. Lies. Papa? Help? What does that even mean? That's what I'm wondering. Seeing my numb response to his unbelievable words, Yukitaka Oji-sama placed the phone on the table. Speaker? He then proceeded to turn on the phone speaker, so everyone could hear.
じゃあ、頼むよ。
Okay, go ahead. You haven't changed, have you? I can never tell if you're listening or not. Then you manage to flatter people into taking action.
言っただろ。それもビジネス
Didn't I tell
の
you?
うちだよ。
That's an invaluable technique in this business. Now talk to her. Fine. While I haven't fully grasped the situation, Yukitaka Oji-sama and Dad are exchanging words. This is the first time I've heard Papa's voice free from anger or scorn in a long time. Yes? Papa? Hearing him say my name so suddenly surprises me, almost making me break out in a cold sweat. What I meant to say barely qualifies as a response.
Yukitaka gave me the gist. There's still a lot I don't understand, but it doesn't sound like he's joking.
He falls silent for a while. It seemed he was having trouble finding his words. It's not surprising. Even I had trouble accepting the phone wave when I first saw it. Between my crying and Yukitaka Oji-sama's persuasion, he does seem to realize we're not kidding, but I imagine he's finding it difficult to sort everything out in his head.
Well, I don't think he likes the idea that you managed it and he didn't. Let's start from the ground up. Kurisu, did you really manage to build a time machine?
Yes.
Because I'm better than you, old man.
Yeah. We built it together. But it doesn't really look...
Using which theory? Wormhole? Or did you manage to find superluminal matter? You didn't find an antiparticle, did you? Or you could have converted the sun's rays for a near-infinite supply of energy. But that's too unrealistic. Which would mean it must be...
Papa interrupts my story to start interrogating me, because all he cares about is the time travel. Though I couldn't tell if he actually wanted me to answer his questions, or if he was just thinking out loud. That's a regular occurrence for scientists, but it was remarkably frustrating in light of what was going on around us.
Hey, Soichi, you're getting sidetracked.
Yukitaka Oji-sama apparently felt the same way as I did, and rebukes my father. Maybe he put me on speaker so he could support me this way.
I know, Yukitaka, but if I don't understand everything clearly, I can't give you any advice. We can't even make plans. You've got a point, but somebody's life is on the line. We don't have much time, so please.
He was clearly unsatisfied, but didn't seem unhappy. Perhaps he's taking this more seriously than I expected.
Bah, fine. Kurisu, tell me about the principles behind the time machine you've built, and what's going on with it now.
Right. Although I'm still processing what's going on. Right now, I certainly felt like I shattered father-daughter relationship. I felt like our shattered father-daughter relationship was beginning to mend.
No. So, are you trying to tell me you've succeeded in generating Kerr black holes?
Yes. That's right. I'm not entirely sure how we did so, though.
The TV downstairs. In Mr. Braun's shop.
I spent about an hour telling Papa about the time leap machine. I was surprised to find that, after my explanation, he was able to accurately identify the time leap machine's capabilities and limitations. As we spoke, we faxed documents to each other, some of which included information that I had overlooked, so this hour was full of surprises. This is the same sort of feeling I get while I'm discussing things with Okabe. Given our understanding of the time leap machine, and considering Saren's moves, the conclusion we reached was fairly straightforward.
In light of the current situation, the only option seems to be using the time leap machines to go back to the past and change things. And once you do, if you want to send a D-mail, there's only one option. That kid Okabe Rintaro is the only person with the reading Steiner ability.
Wait, Papa. That's impossible. I had considered that plan once before. How well does the time leap machine work? How can D-mail allow us to improve our situation? Both of these questions face a single roadblock. How will what we do change the past? To my knowledge, I have not yet directly experienced a changed past phenomenon. We can only go by Okabe's reports of his experiences. Needless to say, if the past changes, our memories, knowledge, and experience will change with it. To observe that the past has changed, one must retain the memories of the pre-changed past. Otherwise, there's no way to confirm it. That's why only Okabe, whose reading Steiner ability can retain memories of the pre-changed past, can notice the phenomenon occur. Honestly, I found the concept hard to believe since I first heard it. In fact, my belief is entirely predicated on my trust in Okabe. I need more water. That said, we have accumulated a number of pieces of evidence pertaining to the changed past phenomenon over the course of our demo experiments. But we have none for the time leap machine. Based on what Okabe told us, it seems as though the time leap machine hasn't resulted in any changed past phenomenon. Despite Okabe's scant, vague testimony, Papa and I reached a hypothesis that changed past phenomenon do not result through the use of the time leap machine. We think the time leap machine only allows one to send themselves back through time, not to change said past. But we can't say for certain. For example, Okabe currently is saying that changed past phenomenon do not occur as a result of the time leap machine. But what if that's only because he didn't take any action that would trigger such phenomenon? Much like when we began our demo experiments, we do not clearly understand what sort of trigger causes the changed past phenomenon to occur. And given the delicacy of this situation, we cannot afford to take uncertain measures. In other words, just as Papa said, Okabe is the only person who can solve this. The only one who can interfere with time and actually be aware of the changes he makes. But we can't let him do so in his current state. Okabe is so worn out that he can't take anymore. I thought I explained that, but...
I know it's impossible. I'm fully aware of that. But, does saying the impossible is impossible solve our problem?
No, it doesn't. Well...
Saying that you can't do the impossible is easy. But science's value lies in overcoming the impossible.
Something that Okabe would say. I don't need Dad to tell me this. It's obvious to any self-respecting scientist. What is impossible today will become possible tomorrow. My professor at my old lab often quoted... I can't say that name. Words. But, be that as it may, the impossible is impossible. While there is value in overcoming the things people claim to be impossible, but optimism doesn't let people breathe underwater without the appropriate apparatus, or travel to space using a cannon. Saying things like that are possible is nothing more than junk science.
But Soichi...
As I was fumbled for a response, Yukitaka Oji-sama interjected.
And I'm inclined to agree with her. And as far as I understand, it would be difficult to have him do anything right now. I thought you'd say that, Yukitaka. Why's that? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you're talking to? Did you really think I'd overlook something so basic? You underestimate me.
What is he saying? Completely at a loss as to what my father was getting at, my face goes blank.
Who do you think I am? I understand that this Okabe kid is completely worn out. But the fact remains that he's the only one who can solve this situation. Which means we have to make him usable again at all costs.
Well, that's a way to say... That's the thing to say about someone.
You said that he's been trying to save your friend Mayuri, right? We have to make him regain that motivation.
Papa's comment is logical and coherent. If one ignores the sheet impossibility of the idea, that is.
無理よ。
That's impossible.
それには何とかして
In order to do that, we'd have to convince him that Mayuri really can be saved. The reason Okabe had lost all of his hope, and had become so broken, is because he thought Mayuri's fate was inescapable. That no matter what he does, or how many times he tries, Mayuri cannot be saved.
So just present him with a new hypothesis. I mean, if you are coming to the conclusion that maybe the time leap machine cannot change the past, can only send you to the past, and things play out the same, but a D-mail can, you just have to give him a new idea.
Conversely, if we could prove that Mayuri can be saved, Okabe may recover. But I don't see how that's possible.
マユリを助けるにはどうしたらいいか
I just can't think of a way to save Mayuri.
わからない。
Nobody in the world could.
Of course you don't see the answer now. But to say nobody in the world could is a fallacy.
どういうこ
Huh? What do you mean?
と？どうすれば
Are you saying you know how to save her?
Stop being absurd. The fundamentals of science are observation, investigation, and experimentation. How do you expect to find an answer when you're only investigating testimony without any observation of your own?
Farah-san, Yukitaka Oji-sama, and I were all puzzled by Papa's remarks.
Still don't get it, do you? Observation is a vital part of your research, but you can be blinded if you're overwhelmed by what's directly in front of you. Kurisu, this is your current state.
逆に
I'm blinded by observation? Papa explains, why can't we find a clue to saving Mayuri? Because we have a severe lack of information. Why is that exactly? Because not only do we only have one source of information, but obtaining clear information from that source is very difficult. In other words, we have not been able to extract sufficient information from Okabe, the person with the clearest grasp on the situation, and has the only one who has observed it in detail. At the end of the day, neither Farah-san nor I have been able to talk normally to Okabe, making us unable to obtain information we could have obtained had he been in a calmer state. There's no contesting that, but Okabe had already been exhausted because of the Rounder's raid by the time we were able to speak with him.
Right. And I don't know what you could do about that.
Mayuri and Hashida have been kidnapped and taken somewhere out of our reach.
パパの言いたいことはわかる。
I understand what you're saying, Dad,
机上の空
but
論よ。
that's just an armchair theory.
聞けない。
We can't get any more information from Okabe.
いやしないわ。
There isn't anyone who could. Oh?
No, there is.
Papa speaks confidently, the way he used to. I haven't heard him sound like that since he answered every question I asked him on my birthday 7 years ago.
いるって。
There is?
誰？
Who?
誰なのパパ？
Who are you talking about, Papa?
教えて。
Do you know them? Tell me.
Allow me to clarify. This person does not exist right now, but they do in the past.
So send a D-mail to our past self to ask him about it?
It's you, Kurisu. If you really want to save this kid, you're the only one who can do this.
過去の
The past. Me? The past. Before Mayuri had been kidnapped. Before we encountered the Rounders. Perhaps the me that exists at that point would be able to would be able to ask Okabe about the future and find a clue to saving everyone from there. At least, according to Papa.
Leaping to the past on its own isn't enough to change things. But going back will give you the opportunity to do so. As long as the time leap machine only allows you to travel into the past and not change it, things won't get better. We need to trigger a change past phenomenon. Your job is to provide that trigger.
Papa's idea is for me to leap into the past and tell Okabe to rely on the past me. No matter how you look at it, we don't have enough information. And we can't currently extract any from Okabe. Right now, what we need are information and time. And even after I leap to the past, we'll probably only gain an hour or two at best. Unfortunately, if I try to leap to a time before Okabe tried to break the time leap machine, it may take me a while to figure out what's going on. And if I try to time leap repeatedly to make up for the lost time, there's a possibility that I may inadvertently trigger a change past phenomenon. If that happened, I wouldn't know whether the past changed or not, because I lack the reading Steiner ability. That would render our entire plan meaningless. Just because we don't believe the time leap machine causes change past phenomena doesn't give us free rein to make time our plaything. Directly helping Okabe and taking steps to find a clue to solving our problems is a risky, temporarily dangerous proposition. Somehow, I have to convince Okabe to leap back to a more manageable time, and have him tell the me of that time period everything he knows.
We never saw this in the main game, so I wonder why this doesn't work out. How does this fail?
If the Okabe of a better time can provide me with all the information he has, that me will be able to serve as Okabe's guide.
Well, technically you do.
In short, there's only one thing we can do. Convince Okabe to go back and change the past, and in the process, get him to stand back up. That's it. That's right. We may not be able to talk to Kiyoma now, but we can talk to the Kiyoma from yesterday afternoon.
And with his information, the past Kurisu-chan can find a clue to get us out of this, huh?
It sounds cruel to say, but in our current timeline, it makes perfect sense that Okabe ended up giving up on Mayuri. I don't blame him, but knowing Okabe, if his past self finds out about what happened in his timeline, he will shut down. If that happens, we'll fail all over again. But even if that does happen, I can't blame him. The shock would be overwhelming for anybody. That's why we must eliminate all possibilities that may lead to this.
You have exceptional knowledge. You have exceptional theories. Oh, you're actually praising your daughter? Mobilize every talent you have. Guide the kid and save him. Only you can do this. You, where you stand, are the only one capable.
Only I can do this. Standing here. August 13th, 2010, Akihabara. In this place where I work with Okabe as lab member 004. Yes. Yes, got it.
On top of everything else, there are other things that could go wrong. In order to carry out the plan, your past self must believe in his preposterous story.
That's right. Even if I was able to invigorate Okabe, if he can't receive the support from past me, this will all be for naught.
What could you do to make your past self believe something like that?
I run simulations in my head. If he were to tell me about the current situation without the despair he exhibited earlier, I wouldn't believe him. There's no question. I would probably laugh it off with a cool story Otsu. I wouldn't give it a second thought. Frankly, it sounds like convincing myself is the biggest problem of all. I know myself. Of course I can't do it. But if I were to go back and tell myself the same story, I still wouldn't believe it. It has to be Okabe.
I need some water.
But how can I make my past self believe Okabe's words? Do you have any secrets? Like a star-shaped birthmark on the base of your neck.
She's not JoJo.
Nothing like that. Besides, if Okabe told me my most closely guarded secret, there's a 100% chance that I'd beat him up. You do. If someone that I liked asked, "You like me, don't you?" I can't imagine I'd take it very well. Ah. What's up? Did you figure something out? A light bulb flicks on in my head. I do have a secret. One that I rarely tell people. I gaze into the cell phone on the table, as if to look at my papa on the other side. Yeah, I think so. I'd probably believe Okabe if he mentioned it. There is one secret in particular. One that leads to a soft spot in my heart. The most sensitive part of me. It's what I desire the most.
Oh. So, do I remember him doing all this? I played both games, the first and second one, and there were a lot of timelines. It's hard to remember all of them. I definitely remember him eventually breaking down a lot and seeking counsel with Kurisu. Did he ever talk to her about Fork? I think so. I don't know if it was like from the context of this history though. If it is, that's interesting. I mean, this game exists after the fact, so it's not like it's specific. Well, whatever.
A fork. I want a fork.
Oh, he knows.
When I was a kid, I wanted it more than anything else. I begged Papa for it on my birthday. My personal fork. Since then, that fork became something that touched my heart. A symbol of Papa's love for me when I was little. A symbol of love that I could have received had our relationship not shattered on my birthday 7 years ago. An object inexplorable from my childhood heart. That is my personal fork. What I want the most right now is my personal fork. If Okabe says that, my past self will probably believe him. Papa is silent. Maybe he knows what I'm talking about.
He seems to.
But he won't say a thing. That's just how it is.
Fork?
Fork? Oh, that. Oh, you remember? The fact that you know about it.
Then Yukitaka Oji-sama opens his mouth. That? What does that mean?
It means he knows. It means your father talked to him about it. Shut up, Yukitaka! Don't say anything else! It's that present for Kurisu-chan that you left at my place, right? Kuroki, will you fetch it? You still have it? Why? Why didn't you mail it to her or something? Or even send it back to her father? Wait a minute. What is he saying? Yukitaka! Now's really not the time! No, it is. I've held on to this for long enough. Dad and Yukitaka Oji-sama continue to argue over the phone. While I tried to follow the unfurling drama, Kuroki-san brought out a small, slightly crushed box. Though the colors were faded, the box was beautifully wrapped. Okay, fine, so your father did love you at one point. Until he was just too fragile a man, his pride, over the idea of you succeeding him. Here you are. When Soichi fought with you 7 years ago, he came here exhausted and left this here. He said that he bought it for his daughter, but didn't have any use for it anymore. It's too late, he's given it to her. I take the box from Kuroki-san and start to unwrap it. As I thought, inside the box was a fork with an affordable design. Affordable? Adorable. With an adorable design. It just looks like a fork to me. This... I remember. It's the one that I begged Papa for. Something I wanted for a long, long time. Something I've yearned for in my heart for a long, long time. And it's finally here. In this timeline, but you're about to erase this. I thought I would never have it. My personal fork always needed to be a present from Papa. But here it is now. It came to me, 7 years later.
Papa, arigato.
Papa, thank you. Don't be a bitch, man. Thank Yukitaka. He was the one who kept it all this time. It's got nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. You're not very honest, are you? Well, neither of them are. Yukitaka! Just shut up already! Come on, Shoichi. If you don't drop the stoic act, you may just end up telling your daughter how you feel in front of her corpse. Papa struggled to choose his words. After a series of tiny groans followed by silence, he finally mutters. If it's that important to you, your past self will surely believe Okabe if he brings it up. This is all I can do for you. Yukitaka, you're gonna have to make up for putting me through this mess. Oh, boo-hoo. Yeah, I know. Papa. Sensing that the call was almost over, I addressed him one last time. But surprisingly, he cut me off and addressed me. One last thing, Kurisu. That kid Okabe from earlier. Huh? Oh. Yeah? I mean, he doesn't have to apologize to you for anything. You stabbed Kurisu in front of him. You drove him mad. When all this is over, drag him out to Aomori and bring him to me. He's gotta apologize to me for all the trouble in person. With a final rant, he hangs up without saying goodbye.
I mean, Papa is kind of the cause of all this. By the first changing of time, that first D-mail, when he finds Kurisu dead.
ああ、切れちゃったね。
Ah, he hung up.
うん、
Yeah, but it's okay.
いいわ。
Somehow, at this very moment, my heart felt refreshed. All this time, I thought he didn't love me.
I guess it wouldn't just go away completely, but he definitely let hate overtake. He's a little bitch of a man.
Worse, I thought he hated me, that he'd forgotten about me. Even though he's holding his feelings and emotions back, I'm still getting to see them. This may not be unconditional love, but it certainly was at one point.
Right. That's fair. It's not even that much of a design. The design on the end of the fork is very minimal.
I examine the fork in my hand and I'm filled with the confidence that I was, in fact, loved.
Was.
会いに来いって言ってくれたし、これからよ。
He even told me to come visit. So this is only the beginning.
No, it's definitely the ending.
Well, who knows if that invitation will still stand once the past changes. I still don't yet understand what sort of phenomenon that Okabe claims occurs when the past changes. I trust Okabe, but it is subjective. Unilateral phenomenon, and as long as it cannot be observed without the reading Steiner, we can do nothing more than guess at its effects. If the past changes and the reading Steiner activates, does it mean that he travels to another parallel world? Or does it mean that our world disappears? If the past changes, what happens to our current memories, experiences, and our feelings? What about each person's individual wishes and desires? If what Okabe says is true, it could be that when the past changes, all current events are rewritten.
Pretty sure it's basically that one, isn't it?
But there's no telling whether that's true or not. If my feelings still remain, I will definitely go see Dad, with Okabe, as he told me.
クーニャンのパパさん、京馬のことを青森に連れてこいって。
Kyunyan's papa said to bring Kyoma to Aomori. I can't wait.
You're not coming with.
楽しみって？
For what? I raise a questioning eyebrow at Ferris-chan.
だってクーニャン、京馬のこと好きな人って言っちゃったよ。
Did she? I didn't realize. I was caught up in the moment.
Well, Kyunyan, you did call Kyoma the person I loved, didn't you?
Oops.
What did she say?
だから京馬と一緒に行ったらどうなるか今から。
So now I'm curious what would happen if you brought Kyoma to Aomori. I can't wait. That's right. Looking back, I did say that. I told Papa that I love Okabe. Help me. Please. I can't. Okabe. I can't save the person I love.
I didn't even catch that. Internal screaming.
I grab my head and fall into the oars position. I said it. I really said it. To Papa of all people.
なんてことよ。
What have I done?
どうしよう。
What should I do?
どうしようも何も。
Well,
普通に連れて行く
you've got to take him now.
うん
She's absolutely right. She's right, but... Ah!
なんで私
Why?
こんなわけのわからない
Why did I have to come out with that now? And to my father, no less. Now, nya, said Farah-san as she patted my head. Could this be... Is this the butterfly effect? It took me more than 10 minutes to recover.
Okabe.
Once Papa hung up, Ferris, Yukitaka Oji-sama, and I finalized our plans. But before heading over to the lab, I wanted to check on Okabe.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing too well.
He looks better rested, thanks to Kuroki-san's treatment.
よかった。
Good.
せめて
Rest.
辛い思いだけでも
You don't need any more pain. I gently caress Okabe's cheek. Then, Okabe shakes his head and grimaces.
You should kiss him on the forehead.
He must be dreaming. About her. But it doesn't look like a pleasant dream.
岡部待ってて。
Okabe,
私が必ず
hold on.
その悪夢から解放して
I
あげる。
promise to free you from this nightmare.
あんたが真由のために時間を
I'll leap to the past, just as you did for Mayuri.
おかしいわよね。
It's funny, isn't
あ
it?
んなにタイムマシンに興味
I had such an aversion to the idea of a time machine at first. My aversion to time machines. It was born out of my rejection of my father's obsession with them. But now, I have no such aversion. Especially after learning the truth about Saren's research, getting myself involved in the development of a time machine, and realizing that time travel is more than just junk science. But even putting aside my aversion, I do feel as though using the time machine myself is taboo. The time machine puts godlike power into our hands. It defangs causality, allowing you to change the past and erase history as we know it. And changing the past is against my personal creed. Papa and I had a big falling out 11 years ago. I wouldn't want to change that painful event just because I have a time machine. Everything that has occurred in my life has shaped the person that I am today. Losing even a single event would make me a different Makise Kurisu. And as long as this is true, I have no need to change the past, nor do I think the past should change. At least, as far as my personal past is concerned.
だから
So,
こうするの
I'm doing this. Because of you, Okabe.
あんたが
Because you decided to leap through time, over and over
みんな
again,
を助けるために
to save Mayuri.
何度も時間を繰り返すと決めたから。
Okabe said that the first time was instinctive. He said that it was the only way he could think to save Mayuri, and his body moved on its own. And once he started, he couldn't stop.
He's an addict. A time travel junkie.
Human beings are like that. That's why people shouldn't become so dependent on power, or play with forces beyond their control. But knowing the circumstances around his decision, I don't blame Okabe. Besides, my beliefs are my own, and not his. In other words, the time leap I'm about to perform isn't something I'm doing myself. Rather, I'm standing in for Okabe just this once. Besides, we had no other option, and if it weren't for Papa persuading me, there's a chance that I wouldn't attempt a time leap at all. Of course, none of that is to say I would put that burden entirely on Okabe. Ultimately, it was my decision. I can't stand seeing Okabe like this. There's no doubt that my desire to save him is a powerful motivator. Sometimes, one must take action, even if it goes against their beliefs. While it's common among scientists, it's the kind of situation I never wish to encounter.
でもだからこそ
But that's why I promise to guide you.
示してみせる。まゆりと
For Mayuri.
自分と
For myself. And for you,
ために
Okabe. Oh, right. And for Hashida, too. Though he might be able to escape on his own, if he doesn't get killed.
正直言うとね
Honestly,
怖くはあるんだ
I'm kind of scared.
だって
Even though I created the machine, there's no guarantee that it will work like I expect it to.
あんたはそれで飛んだって
But when I think you leaped in spite of the danger,
ね
I feel sort of selfish. Of course, it is possible that the time leap machine wouldn't work properly on someone without Okabe's reading Steiner ability. It may function differently based on a person's age and gender. Newly created technology always brings with it a number of unknowns. But Okabe leapt through time for Mayuri without a single assurance. Yeah, didn't think about it all. He just had to do it. So, I want to do the same.
そう
That's right,
あんたのためにね
for you. But even with my newfound determination, I'm really scared. I can't help it. No matter how much faith I have in my theory, there's constantly little words missing. Like, it just said, have my theory, and not in my theory.
卑怯だけど私に勇気をちょうだい
That's why I'm sorry. I know it's unfair to ask, but please, give me courage. I look at Okabe's sleeping face and move closer to him. Oh, kiss? On the forehead? Or cheek? I put my hands on his shoulders and slowly, gently draw closer. So close I can feel his body heat. Then I place my forehead against his. I bring my thoughts next to his thoughts, and we exchange breath and body heat.
岡部好き
Okabe, I love you.
あんたがどれだけ中二病でも
Despite your Chunibiu nonsense,
空気読めないもんね
despite how weird and clueless you
知
are,
識の偏った北
despite your nerdy Norse mythology obsession,
そんなの全然
I love you,
好
in spite of it all.
きクリスティーナとか
I know you only call me Christina,
とか
assistant,
ゾンビって呼ばない
celeb Sev,
言い方
and the zombie to get on my nerves, but
そのうち
eventually,
必ずあんた
I'll have you call me by my name,
呼ばせてみせるわ
straight to my face.
真正面からね
That was my one-sided confession to a sleeping man. A confession that was unfair in some ways, and meaningless in others. I don't expect him to respond. In fact, I'd probably never live it down if he did, and if it was for nothing more than my own satisfaction. But for now, that's good enough. I don't intend on ignoring Mayuri either. I can make any official confession another time. This was just a sort of ceremony to receive the courage I need. A ritual. With slight reluctance, I pull my body away from Okabe's. I wanted to stay with him a while longer, but I don't have a lot of time. If the Rounders decide to make a forceful move against us, it could all be over. Yeah, you need to make sure they don't take the machine. When I stand up and look at Okabe, I can see that Okabe's once pain expression has turned into a more peaceful one. Hey, it worked. His breathing is normal and sounds healthy. Yeah, he's gonna be okay.
じゃあ岡部
Alright,
行って
Okabe,
くるね
I'm leaving. I open the bedroom door and step out into the hall to the living room.
は
I saw Ferris waiting for me. For some reason, she was signed with disappointment. I think she was watching and wanted you to kiss him.
ああれ
Huh? What is it, Ferris? I realize how suspicious I must look, given what I was just doing in there.
くーにゃん、これからはヘタレーニャンって呼んでやるにゃん。
Wimpy. Kyunyan, from now on, I'm calling you Wimpy, Nyan. Nya? I feel my body temperature spike. I'm sure my face is bright red. Wait, Farah-san, you weren't peeking, were you?
覗くも何もないにゃん。
I didn't need to. I didn't need to peek. I can see right through you using my Cheshire break.
Oh, right. Can't she, like... Well, she doesn't literally read minds. She, like, reads the body language or something, doesn't she?
説明しよう。チェシャーブレイクとは相手の目を見るだけで気持ちが分かってしまう。
Oh, here we go.
Allow me to explain. Cheshire break is Ferris's transcendental demon eye. It allows me to know a person's feelings with a single look in their eyes, Nya?
She's also a Chunibiyu. Of sorts.
それにしても、くーにゃん。
Ha, anyway, I didn't know Kyunyan was such a wimp. I'm shocked, Nya.
時間がない状況で
If we had more time, I would have said take two and have made you do it again, Nya. Ha.
No time to get angry. We gotta go.
Who knew Ferris-san would be like this? She has a weird style of speech and even gives people weird nicknames. Between her and Okabe, why does Akihabara draw so many weirdos?
You're forgetting Hashida.
そんなことやってると、
Even Mayuri is kind of a weirdo in her own way. Actually, Kurisu, you're also a weirdo.
Keep that up and I'll end up sealing him away from you, Nya, said Ferris, with a devilish smile on her face. She looks so cute that even I might fall for her. Okabe wouldn't stand a chance.
I mean, he does, aside from that one ending.
Jeez, stop kidding around.
分かってるにゃん。冗談
I know.
安心し
I'm just joking. No need to worry. For now, Nya. I know that Ferris's true feelings are no joke. Even if I'm not good with people, I understand this much. But if someone told me to compete with Ferris fair and square, I would be in real trouble.
No, you wouldn't.
I don't have the wealth of experience I need to deal with competition like this, especially with everything else going on. I don't think I'd even have the mental capacity for it, unless we saved my Yuri and the situation stabilized.
だからちゃんと勝負ができるように
Let me drink some water.
クーニャンの元通りに戻すのにゃん。
Okay.
So, if you want to stand a chance against me, you've got to fix things, Nya.
もしかしてまたチェシャーブレイク
Did you just read my mind with Cheshire Break again? Could she really have some sort of psychic power? No, of course not. As a scientist, I can't accept that. But that would mean she has incredibly sharp intuition.
Correct.
Now I'm curious. I want to study this.
No time.
I'd really like to conduct some experiments with Ferris as my test subject. But I have to hold off for now.
分かってる。
I know. That's why I'm going.
そのために行くのよ。さて、
That should do it. Before long, we had made preparations to return to the lab, where we now stood in front of the time leap machine.
クーニャン、下の大きなテレビ
I've confirmed that the big TV downstairs is on, Kunyan.
ありがとう。
Thanks. The lift is ready too. With that, I activate the time leap machine. Now all that's left is to put on the headgear and press the entry key.
いよいよにゃ。
It's almost time, Nya. Farah-san came over and held my hand tightly.
そう。
Yeah, this is the moment of the century. Since Okabe has already used the time leap machine, this won't be the world's first instance of time travel. But it does mark the dawn of time travel experiments.
I mean, you'll be at least the first woman.
and I will become one of the pioneers. The fear I felt earlier had waned, replaced by feelings of elation and curiosity. But, at the same time...
Flashbang, as usual.
If I time leap, my reconciliation with Papa and the gift of my personal fork will be undone.
Correct.
I will be sending my current memories to a me who exists in a time before I spoke to Papa. After that, I'll be putting all of my efforts toward helping Okabe, instead of reconciling with him. If I didn't time leap, would Okabe someday be able to accept Mayuri's death and go to Aomori with me?
I mean, the story we started off at first was one where he had gone a whole year. But that was a year where he was delusional, pretending she was still alive whenever he wore the superhero costume that he made. So, he didn't really accept it, he just at least wasn't breaking down by being delusional. I don't think that was much better. So low-key, the answer is kind of no.
My mind wanders toward these possibilities, but I seal away all the confusion in my heart. My pride as a scientist, my feelings towards my father, they are minor compared to what's at stake. This is how it's supposed to be. Right, Papa?
I'm gonna save you.
It's all up to me now. The destination is yesterday, around 5:30 p.m., when everything was bathed in twilight. If Okabe were here, he would say I'm going to a place that's neither day nor night, but somewhere in between. Twilight. Tasogare. The Japanese word comes from how hard it is to see people in the unusual lighting. People would ask one another, "Who are you? Taozokare?" I remember one of my upperclassmen at Victor Condoria telling me about the mythology of his home country. Once upon a time, the god of lighting forged a deal with a demon. The deal read, "The demon shall not day or night be harmed with anything dry or wet." But in order to defeat the demon, the god of lighting created the twilight. And to slay it, he used a weapon made of the bubbles of the ocean, something neither dry nor wet. In another myth, a demon was said to have obtained immunity to humans, gods, beasts, and other demons, whether day or night, inside or outside. In order to oust it, another god became a fusion of both lion and man, which was classified as neither beast nor human, and during the twilight, defeated the demon standing in a doorway, neither outside nor in. That's what he told me. Perhaps the moral of this myth is that when you are presented with two losing options, keep calm and think about whether there is a third.
That reminds me of the newest AI Somnium game with no rest for Kaname Dante. Because I was watching a streamer earlier today who was just finishing up Zero Time Dilemma of the Zero Escape series, the third game. Because I watched her play the three games, and she finished up the third one today. And when she finishes a game before her usual streaming time, she starts the next game. So she already started the Kaname game. So immediately we have that whole thing about you got to find the third way, open your third eye, find the third path. So that reminds me of this.
By using reason, or by thinking outside the box, you can always find a third option. How oddly suited Twilight is to untangling the mess of causality in order to arrive at the correct option. What am I doing, thinking of myths at a time like this?
Now's the time.
But I suppose that's just how we are.
See, you're a weirdo. Embrace it. Embrace your inner Chuny.
Most scientists are just romantic Chuny BU. Spend enough time around them and it's only a matter of time before they rub off on you. What's the matter, Nya? Hey, Kyunyan!
なんでもない。
Don't worry. It's nothing. Okay. I'm gonna leap now. Take care of everyone.
任せといてにゃ。
Just leave it to me, yeah? I smile at her, then put on the headgear.
It's time to go. Back to the pass. Samurai Jack.
Electricity arcs through the air, and my surroundings are consumed by a whitish blue light. The ground shudders below my feet.
行くわよ。
Let's go. I press the enter key on the keyboard. My body shakes as if I'm caught in the middle of a large earthquake. It's enough to throw me into the air. It felt like my body was about to make the leap along with my memories. No, that's not what leaped. Was it the world?
Back to the past. Oh, time for the wooziness. Yeah, this is what he experiences every time he leaps. No matter what, it never goes away.
What is this?
Pain.
A ringing in my ear pierces deep into my brain like a metal pair of forceps. It feels as though the cells of my central nervous system are being torn apart in every direction, down to the atomic level. Sight, sound, touch, smell, taste. All 5 of my senses ignore my brain signals and receive information of their own accord. And it's not just my senses. My heart starts acting on impulse, running through emotions until it feels like I'm about to burst. This is...
Torture?
Yes. Observe. Observe. Analyze. I have to determine what this is. Extreme nausea and drunkenness erupt through me. My sense of gravity grows vague, and I'm jumbled around back and forth, side to side and up and down. The image of the world reconstructs in my brain, as if an artist put it together out of scattered mosaic tiles.
そうだ。
That's right.
だよ。
I remember the future.
私。最悪の
This is
気分。
the worst feeling.
Now try doing it 1,000 times.
The world gradually comes back together. As my vision grows clearer, the mysterious sounds and sensations withdraw, as if I'm awakening from a dream.
Oh god.
When I come to, I'm curled into the fetal position on the floor of the lab. The ray of sunset beamed through the window.
やっぱり
We
実験はする。
really need to experiment. I didn't think
気分が
it'd be this bad.
悪いなんて。
I'll keep that in mind for later.
I keep it in mind now, but we don't have time, unfortunately.
You could ride a roller coaster over and over again and still not feel as sick.
True. Not that I would know, but true.
This is valuable data. I wonder why. Does the brain get confused by memories that theoretically shouldn't exist and force the body through a series of illusions? It can't be a simple physiological phenomenon.
岡部も言ってくれ
But
ればいいのに。
Okabe could have warned me.
Well, I don't think he expected anyone to ever go through this, so...
At any rate, I still feel sick. This degree of discomfort would make it dangerous for anyone frail to use. They'd be consumed by it.
もしかして岡部がああなった理由の一つかしら。
Could this be one of the reasons Okabe broke down the way he did? I can see how this would wear on you. I'm sorry, Okabe.
I mean, that's one reason.
I managed to keep the contents of my stomach where they belong, and check the time on my cell phone.
I've noticed there's been a lot of typo little typos in this one than the original games. The original games, there were just like a few here and there, but for the most part, they were pretty good as far as I remember. But I'm finding a lot of, they're minor, like where they belong, where the belong. They've been either like missing a letter or missing an entire word very often in this game. August 13th, 1724. The time leap was a success. Success being a relative term. I've been in pain for about 10 minutes now. I wonder how it was for Okabe. From what I observed, it didn't look like his time leap took as much out of him. Did he get used to it? Or maybe the effects vary between men and women, or from person to person. I mean, if you just think back to when he got the call, that call is when that happened.
そもそも岡部にはリーディングシュタイナーがあるものね。
Besides, Okabe has a reading Steiner too. I sluggishly pull myself to my feet. I have to get to the bridge in front of the UPX, like Ferris told me. If she's right, Okabe should be there. We only have a couple of hours before Mayuri dies. Considering it was around 7 p.m., I have an hour and a half. I have to reinvigorate Okabe and send him back to the past within that time.
でもこれしかないと分かってる。
I know this is the only way. If Okabe has to time leap, it means he has to go through the same discomfort.
岡部、本当にごめん。
Okabe, I'm really sorry. I'll upgrade it to make it less physically taxing next time. To keep Okabe from getting too concerned, I won't tell him that I performed a time leap to be here. That's the rule. Let's go. Wait for me, Okabe.
I mean, he might figure it out. Still keeping the contents of your stomach there.
The effects of the time leap were unexpectedly intense. I didn't expect the road to feel this long. I can normally get there in no time. It takes all my strength just to keep my legs moving, and every breath is a struggle. Eventually, however, I make it to the front of UPX.
Been a while since I've seen this place.
There. Just ahead of me, I saw Okabe crouched down in the middle of the UPX bridge.
Oh, I don't see him.
Even now, he looks so despondent. It was hard for me to believe that Okabe could look so depressed. For me, this was a mere 20 hours ago, but for him, it could have been a lifetime. Just seeing him like this nearly brings me to tears. But crying now would be meaningless. I didn't jump back in time to cry. I must reach out to Okabe. That's what I should do. Something only I can do.
ねえ岡部、
Hey, Okabe.
あんたは一体何度
Just how many times have you remembered your horrible memories from the future?
I have no way of knowing how many times he's specifically jumped. Could be anywhere from like 50 to 100 to 1,000. Because it was definitely thousands in the original. I don't know what point in time this one is.
何度マユリが殺されてしまう
How many times have you witnessed Mayuri's death?
来たの楽しげな喧騒があふれるこの街の
In the middle of the city, overflowing with sounds of joy and excitement,
孤独に
you fought alone, and it's reduced you to this,
姿になって誰にも頼れずに
unable to rely on anyone else,
魂も擦り切れ
torn apart in body and soul.
嘆きと
The agony and despair breaking you.
壊れごめんね
I'm sorry.
いつもあんたのこと
I've watched you all this time, but I never realized.
続けなくて
I'm so sorry.
一人で戦わせちゃって
I'm sorry I made you fight alone.
You didn't make him.
岡部
Hey, Okabe,
私はそんなあんたの
I don't want to see you like this.
見たくないよまた私のことを
I want you to call me by those weird nicknames.
I thought you said you were gonna make him say your name to your face.
助手って
Assistant.
クリスティーナ
Christina.
Is she gonna say the zombie one next, or what was the other one? Assistant Christina. Oh, the something Celebsev?
ザ・ゾンビって
Oh, nope, the zombie.
The zombie.
セレセブ
Don't put him out of. Girl.
Celeb Sev.
ムカつくけど
They're annoying. And one day I want you to call me by my name,
ちゃ
but
んとでもやっぱり私をそういう
it's more like you to call me by those
ら
nicknames.
しいよ
Don't know what you've got until it's gone.
そんなあんたに戻ってほしい
I want that you back.
ねえ岡部
Hey, Okabe.
私は
Am I going to be able to show you the right path? As worn out as you are?
手助けになれるかな
Will I be able to help you?
あんたを助けたい
I want to save you.
マユリや橋田を
I of course want to save Mayuri and Hashida too, but
But they're not the ones you're in love with.
何よりも
most of all,
岡部
I want to save
あ
you.
んたを助けたいのこの思いを私は
I don't want to hide this feeling from myself.
ごまかしたくないそのために自分の
I already opposed my own beliefs for it.
10年以上も嫌われ
I erased reconciling with Papa after 10 years of thinking he hated me.
No, he hates you.
だから岡部
So, Okabe,
次は
next time,
私を
I want you to rely on me.
あんたの仲間である
On me, your ally, your assistant, your Christina.
あんたの助手である私を
I didn't think she'd actually say that.
On me, your assistant.
そうしたら
If you do,
絶対
I will absolutely
あんたに
show you the way.
道を示すから
I take a deep breath, suppressing the emotion that almost crushes my heart. I stand in front of Okabe, begging my voice not to tremble.
そこの地べたに座ってるドキュン男
Oh, you could be an actor.
What are you doing sitting around, you DQN idiot? When I call out to him, Okabe slowly lifts his head and looks at me with hollow eyes.
Are we done? I thought we were gonna talk to him and do the whole. Actually, then that is the part we saw, right? Maybe. That's when it all. Oh, okay.
So that is the part where she tells him, she talks to him about it,
And then he goes back to the past and tells her about the fork.
okay, then yeah, I do remember.
I do remember now that I've seen that scene. That actually helps me. So, in the past, she just simply managed to find him somehow, some way, and just like, I mean, she's scolding him a bit, but then it's like, you know, she cares about him, so she's like, talk to me. She obviously something is wrong with him. Talk to me. But here's a story where it was more than that. It was actually her from the future. Interesting. Okay. And that's Kurisu done. That means the next one that I do, I have the option of Suzu, Mr. Braun, which I am not doing the voice I gave him the entire time. I'm going to have to change his voice. I don't want it to, because I already gave Daru my voice. It can't be my voice, but it's definitely not going to be the gruff voice that I was using for Kurisu's father just now. There's no way I'm doing that voice for an entire stream, as for his inner thoughts as well. So he's getting a new voice. Then Ferris, which means I'll have to say nya a lot. A lot. I don't really want to do Ferris next. I think I might do Braun. Because I kind of want to do... Honestly, I kind of want to do Suzu last of these three. I almost even want to do Suzu last before anyone else. But it places these two next to each other, and then these three next to each other.
I'm tempted to just like do these 3 before whatever the next ones are. That's 6. That means the next one is 4. It should be 4 of them because it's supposed to be 10, and then there's the hidden 11th one. So yeah, I think I'll probably do Mr. Braun next. Then I'll do Ferris. Then I'll do Suzu. Also, I just realized that ending just now would have been a good thumbnail. I could use the one that I took a screenshot of. I could also have used the one where she's standing over him. That would have been a good one. Well, whatever. But yeah, this is where I shall end it. My voice is definitely tired. Especially doing the father's voice. But I enjoyed that. It's interesting to... So basically, it was a partial new one to a old one that we've seen. Because his was completely new. Daru was completely new. But hers was like partially new and then partially... It was like a mix. So that was interesting. I am very curious about how these 3 are going to go. So I look forward to that. Alright, so I will be ending. So thank you everyone for hanging out with me. For those who are in chat and those who are just lurking, I appreciate it as always. I hope you all have a good morning, day, or night, whatever time it is for you guys. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone. I'll bring up the raid messages. For Twitch, raid 1, raid 2. And then we shall raid. Who am I gonna raid? Iki's playing Until Then, another visual novel.
Where shadows loom, a man sits
Nasty Cat's playing Danganronpa, the first game, also a visual novel.
with a pen held tight in hand, sketching dreams that
Oh, wait.
understand.
Wait, it's Bear's anniversary? Oh, actually,
Walls
Barry
may
Beer's
close
anniversary is today.
the
He's doing a
night
24-hour
may
stream.
fall,
Why don't we go visit him, actually?
spirit
We'll say, okay, I think it was raid 7 and 8?
lines he draws are
Yeah, 7 and 8.
that
We'll say happy anniversary. Raid 8. No, that's a 9.
worlds where
8.
dreams are free.
Alright, the 7 one is the follower one, the 8 one is the sub one.
Turning silence into streams. In his mind, he's never alone. Crafting realms he calls his own. Paper whispers, secrets told. Journeys inked in black and bold. Mountains climb or rivers bend. In the world that he can mend, he may be confined and still, yet his heart is wild with thrill. Through each line a sky so wide. In his world he takes a ride. Every sigh is painted bright. Stars that gleam in darkest night. With a pen his spirit sings, soaring high.